Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places, there's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And this, to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's Wednesday. Can't even remember the days at this point because there's so much stuff going on. So much going on. I've got not a recap, but there was after today's morning show, which started at 8:30, went for 4 hours. President Trump wasn't done. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened after that. So if you had a chance to see it, you may see it again, but if you haven't followed everything all day long, some of this stuff may be new to you. And so what we saw today, and you're going to see on my lower third, we saw a complete, obvious, in-your-face dose, mega dose of what other people would call toxic masculinity. You know, so for the lib nuts, the tards out there who are just so afraid of men being men, this was probably one of the worst speeches ever given in the history of men or women, because of course they'll defer to either. This was horrible. This was, as Hakeem Jeffries said, an embarrassment to America. Of course that's how they're going to feel. However, for those on the right, well, most of the people on the right, this ranks up there with JFK's 1962 speech, 1960 speech. That's not what what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. This ranks up there, not in terms of the same perspective, but in terms of the impact. There's no denying what I think just happened. I'm pretty sure at this point, starting maybe as soon as tomorrow, maybe as soon as Friday, President Trump now is going to unleash the hounds. I think he was waiting for this. I think this was the pivotal moment to let everybody know I'm not effing around. In fact, we were talking this morning during the chat and everything, and one of the things we kept saying is like, did he just basically pull off his belt and say, don't make me use it? It's going to hurt me than it hurts you. It's going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Just please don't make me use it. That's how it came across this morning. It came across this morning as, I'm here to make some friends who understand at any point I can put you over my knee and spank it. And I think the message got through loud and clear. So much so that libnuts had really nothing to talk about today. They just complained about how it was so awful and so aggressive and so vicious. And, why did he talk to our friends like that? They don't get it. This is about, and something weird happened when we get to start talking about Greenland. We're not just talking about Greenland. He did something today that's even beyond Greenland. I don't know if you caught it. But he also basically said, we also taking the polar ice cap. We want everything in the Arctic. All of it. Wherever that line is that delineates Western Hemisphere, we taking it all, baby. All of it. And he let him know, you have, one choice or the other. And I affectionately looked at this as the DONFATHER. To me, the DONFATHER settled all family business, foreign family business. The domestic stuff is coming. But he settled all foreign business today. And as I wrote, and you saw in the thumbnail, because I really think this is exactly what happened. I think this is what he made them an offer they can't refuse. The offer was made, and it was either you take it or else. And he pretty much phrased it as such. He basically phrased it as a mafia don, and I mean that in good terms. He looked at these guys straight in the eye, stood up on that stage as you guys watched, took his time getting into it, laid out some things here and things there, and then in no uncertain terms said, this is how it's gonna be, fellas and ladies. One and the same. Not sure where you're gonna pee, but this is how it's gonna be. And then at the end, I don't know if you know this, but Gavin Newsom was due to speak. He was gonna speak after President Trump spoke in some room, and Trump said, not today. Not here. He's not talking here. I'll deal with him when I get home. No. No Gavin Newsom speech. And they canceled Gavin Newsom's speech. I don't know if you know that. Told him, nope, sorry. DONFATHER said, no, can do. What an alpha move was that? I had a friend of mine who's a sheriff up in, I won't say the county, don't want to get him in trouble, but he's like, I don't think that Donald Trump is an alpha male. And I'm like, yeah, he is. He's like, nah. He goes, I think he's a sigma male. I went, what the hell is a sigma male? I haven't really heard that term much. You go ahead and look it up. But it's basically like a lone wolf, like the one, that alpha male that will go it alone. If he has to, he will go it alone and take you out. I was like, I never heard of a sigma male, but he sure showed himself to be a sigma male. And so many men were like, wow, this is what I voted for. Because we haven't seen this ever. You know, most people worry about getting reelected. They worry about their party. This is the first time I have seen a president who says, damn the torpedoes, I'm here for America. Not my political future, for America. And now it appears, if everything holds the way it's supposed to hold, we are basically in control of everything in the Western Hemisphere. Everything. And people are falling in line. He even mentioned that MAGA Gaza might be a reality. That the people in Gaza are about to fall in line. I'm going to show you some things about some other people that'll probably blow you away if you haven't seen it yet. And I'm thinking to myself, what did he say? How did he say it to get all these people to go, yes, Godfather. Yes, DONFATHER. Yes, DONFATHER. Please don't blow us up. Please don't send armed men with poop ray guns. Please don't drop helicopters that come down and guys come down and they've got some sort of electro turbo poop making gun. Please don't do that to us. We have no way to defend against it. See, at that point, they all had to sit back and go, you want to take him on? You? How about all three of us together? Can we take him on? Dude, you got 6 planes. Oh. How many planes you got? I think we could put together like 9. And where's your base? All the way the hell over there. Oh. So you mean if he's controlling the Western Hemisphere, we're dead ducks coming across the ocean, aren't we? Keep your crap over there. And by the way, keep all these people you were trying to ship here, keep them over there too. We'll make it worth your while. 1, we won't mess with you. 2, we won't tariff you. 3, we're friends, right? We're just going to do it for old time's sake, right? Yeah, we're just going to be friends. The kind of friends that you don't piss off. The kind of friend that takes the other bad guys and says, maybe we should mess with them. Why? They know Donnie. Oh, they're friends with Donnie? Yeah, that's all you got to say. Now, it doesn't work for some of the idiots in the world. You know, the guys that crawl through deserts and stuff like that, who mess with goats. They don't care. They're willing to strap a bomb onto themselves and do whatever they need to. But that's why he's working on the other stuff. That's why he's working on MAGA Gaza. What he basically told the world today is the ultimate FAFO. And that includes you sand rats, because you're going to be kind of easy for us to spot, and we're not going to give you the chance to do what you need to do. Now, whoever's here, whatever sleeper cells are already on the ground, that's why I think we're about to see some movement. I think we're about to see some military movement inside of Minnesota. Not sure if you heard the Supreme Court, the appellate court ruling today. They had a judge last week that said that ICE couldn't use force. The appellate court said, yeah, they can. Yeah, they can use force. So what's it going to be? Are you guys going to keep acting up in the street, or are we going to drag you? It's your choice right now. You can go home. It's cold. Go get behind a blanket. And then you got idiot Tim Walz who behind a fence with a mini megaphone is telling you guys, go back out there and keep protesting. I got a hot toddy back in the house, but good, go keep going. What kind of a leader does that? What kind of a leader stands behind a fence and has a little baby megaphone? Yes, keep protesting. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. Yeah, do some peaceful protesting. Get in some good trouble. And then stay behind the fence. The optics of that alone spewed weakness. You're standing behind the phone with a little aqua megaphone telling them to go do something. You can't because, I'm under subpoena. I'm kind of screwed. I'm telling you, I feel very confident that at this point, after what he did over there, after flying over, having to turn around, come back, get the other jet, fly again, go 7 or 8 hours, who knows how much he slept, walk out in front of that microphone, spend all day today talking to people. Now he's flying back. And I think he's turned to Pete Hegseth, if Pete was there. I know he's turned to Howard and Scott Bessent. And like, let's go take care of the homestead. Let's get in and fix this stuff up. Operation Minnesota might be game number one. Let's stop all this craziness. Today, after President Trump spoke, I had an interview with a sheriff, and it's really eye-opening. I'm going to roll that in tomorrow's show, and it gives you some inside knowledge as to exactly what's happening, why it's happening. Stuff that most people don't want to come out on a microphone and actually say. He said it. And I was like, okay, you're okay? We're going to roll with this recording? Go for it. All right. So tomorrow we're going to hear that. Hey, what's it going to take to stop it? He's going to tell us that. But I'm pretty sure he's not going to tell you anything you already don't know. Because you might see it tomorrow before I run the interview. We may see, Humvees rolling tonight, early tomorrow. No one can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. I even saw people today, and I was shocked, very shocked. I think it was Glenn Beck even said, this is the best damn speech I ever heard. Let me see if I can bring that up, his tweet, because after I kind of jumped on him yesterday, I figured that, he would dig his heels in and be somewhat anti. Let me see if I can find it. It's this one right here. Oops, what the heck happened there? Tell me I'm having computer issues again. I don't even know what that took a picture of. Good gosh, that's crazy. Anyway, Glenn Beck said, Daddy is definitely home. Trump is the advocate for America I've waited for my entire life. He makes Reagan look a bit wishy-washy. What he said in Davos today was the most powerful speech perhaps ever given by a president to the world. The most powerful speech ever given is what Glenn Beck says. I'll try and fix my thing so I can figure out why it's not showing. I don't even know what it's showing. He continued. He said it with love for Europe multiple times. That's what I said. But with clarity that peeled the paint off the walls all across Europe and the world. Now, he announces a deal for Greenland hours later. The entire White House team is epic. Now come home and clean up Minnesota, New York, and California. Lather, rinse, repeat. That's absolutely correct. The entire White House team. If you watch what Scott Bessent said, if you watch what Marco Rubio said, if you watch what Howard Lutnick said, they huddled on that Air Force One as they were flying, and they obviously said, all in? Yeah. No F's given? Yep, let's go with it. All in, no F's given. Let's do it. And I think that's what happened. So I'm ready to roll with the show. Before I get into the show, let me tell you about tonight's sponsors. Did you know that U.S. life expectancy peaked at 78 years old way back in 2014? And global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years because people are aging faster. Did you know that the U.S. life expectancy peaked it peaked. And so now global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years because people are aging faster than ever before due to more toxins in the air, the chemicals in our soil and our food, and other external factors that are new to us. What most people don't know or don't understand is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level. And there was a study posted that actually says that. Because, right now, something called the anti-aging effects and mechanisms of kimchi are what's going to help you delay the process of aging. It really does work. And all you've got to do is get these benefits in one single capsule of Kimchi 1. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, plus antioxidants and enzymes that support your digestion, your metabolism, and skin health from the inside out. So as you know, with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, you need help to fight off antimicrobials. All these things, these bacteria, these viruses, everything that affects your immunity and your energy. Best of all, Kimchi 1 right now is completely 100% made in the USA, all natural and non-GMO. Support your gut, protect your cells, and feel younger every day with Kimchi 1 from Brightcore. And today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link in the description or just use the code BARRY for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, go ahead and contact my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% of your order off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. All right, let's get into it.
I want to play a little bit of what the president said, Caroline, in the big speech to the World Economic Forum regarding Greenland and how he doesn't believe that this ask is too much. Listen here.
We want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember.
Do you think the president convinced any of the European nations to get behind his idea to acquire Greenland?
Well, they certainly should get behind it, John. In moments from now, President Trump will be meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, a man whom President Trump deeply respects, and they'll be discussing this very important topic to the United States of America. And President Trump is right. Greenland is absolutely essential for America's national security in the Arctic region, and President Trump has a realistic mindset when it comes to the acquisition of Greenland. If the United States doesn't get it, soon enough, China or Russia will. And that's not just a threat to the United States, but especially to Europe. So President Trump is not just looking out for America here, he's looking out for NATO too. And he spoke about that here in Switzerland today. He wants Europe to be strong. He wants NATO to be strong. And NATO would not be strong if not for the United States. So this is a simple ask by the President of the United States. Let's negotiate a good deal to ensure the United States can resume with a peaceful acquisition of Greenland. And he'll be talking with the NATO Secretary General about that in just a few minutes.
Hey, Caroline, it's Sandra here. Thanks so much for joining us. We've been watching the president there. He seems to be enjoying his time there in Davos. Just to piggyback on the last question there about Greenland, it seems that the markets are sort of bouncing back today because he's ruled out using force to take Greenland. Was that ever on the table to use military action to take it?
All right, so if you listen to what he actually said, he said, I don't think I'm going to have to use it, which is a little bit different than just saying, I'm not going to use it. I think we're going to be okay. So what that told me, and probably told you as well, is that he had the framework of a deal in place. He just had to nudge these guys to actually take the deal.
Well, the president always carefully resumes or looks at all options that are on the table for him as commander-in-chief. But today he did rule out military options and said, we're not going to take Greenland by force, but we are absolutely wholeheartedly committed to acquiring Greenland through a peaceful negotiating process. And so that's what's underway now. And I would just point out one more note. President Trump is not the first American president to float this idea. If you go back to President Truman, he also pursued supported the idea of acquiring Greenland because it is a good idea, again, for the United States and our national security. But I think the reason that a lot of these European leaders are getting a little shaken up about this is because they know President Trump is a man of his word. And when he sees to something, he wants to accomplish that goal, as we've seen throughout the past year. And he's been talking a lot about that today in front of not just world leaders, but some of the world's most respected business leaders about how America is back. America is not to be messed with. And
I love when she said that. America is not to be messed with. Don't trifle with us. Don't try it. Again, this is stuff that we haven't heard from a person like, I don't know if we've had a president like Donald Trump. Don't mess with us. Take me at my word. You've already seen. See, one of the things is, I used to laugh and I told Robin this story. This was so funny. Growing up, and I'm talking about, 10, 12, 13 years old, I was really into Bruce Lee. I mean, I was like, every movie that would come on, we would go to the matinee and watch Bruce Lee and all the things he was doing. Thought it was fantastic. And then, being a knucklehead in school, and as you get a little bit older, 14, 15, one of the things that always happened was I would see an Asian kid and I would I'm not messing with him. As big as I was, I'm like, why? Because he probably knows that kung fu stuff. I'm like, you're good. You're good. And he was, and this one kid would flinch like that. And I'm like, no, you're good, man. Because I didn't know whether he had the goods or not. I didn't know if I could push this kid or was I going to get kicked in the head. Right now, the world leaders are looking at Trump like he's Bruce Lee. Can we poke him or is he going to give us the death grip and pull our hearts out? Because you don't know whether he's going to do it, but you 100% now know he's capable of doing it. That's how you get to peace through strength. That's because when you walk in, you realize, don't mess with me. Even if you're thinking, I think we can make him buckle. I think we can make him stop being so hard ass. Okay, you tell him. You be the one to tell him. As I said last night, he's got the capability, he's got the resources, and most importantly, he's got the will. I think everybody right now has to know, will he do it? If you make him, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be that lady? Do you want to be that country who wants to challenge Donald Trump? You want to poke your chest out. You think you can talk all you want on Twitter. You can say anything you want on television. Don't cross that line. Don't do it. You remember, what was his name? The guy from Star Trek, when he had the commercial, don't knock that off my shoulder. He's the one right now that has all the cards, all the bravado, all the resources. Do you want to be the person to find out? And I think that's what we saw on display today.
President Trump can certainly be taken seriously on his word. Just ask Venezuela or Iran.
And some of us are old enough to remember the criticism that was leveled at the Secretary of State Seward when he tried to buy Alaska. It was called Seward's Folly. But can you imagine America without Alaska now? I was only kidding about some of us are old enough to remember. So the president is casting this in terms of national security. But there's some other analyses as well. This one from Josh Wolf from Lux Capital. It says this isn't so much about national security.
All right, so I want you to listen to this. This guy is from Lux Capital, big venture capital company. So well written.
In terms of missile defense as it is national security when it comes to rare earth minerals. He said what's actually underway is a supply chain annexation dressed in the costume of territorial ambition. The target is not an island. It is two geological formations in southern Greenland, Kvanefjeld and Tanbreeze, that contain the heavy rare earth elements without which no advanced weapon systems can be built. China controls over 90% of global processing. The United States controls almost none.
Right there made me think, how did we ever get to a position in this country where we allowed some other country, in this case China, to have 90% control over anything? How did we get to that point? What was the reason we completely acquiesced and let China, as Howard Lucknett would say, eat our lunch. I don't want anybody having 90% leverage over us over anything. I don't care if it's checkerboards. I don't want you to be the 90% supplier of checkerboards. And somehow, China controls 90% of all the global processing of rare earths. That's a problem. That is a huge imbalance. Do you remember during the, what was it? How can I say it? The jabademic? When we got sick, not me, but when people got sick and they wanted all the PPE, you know, the physical protection equipment, the masks and everything else, the people who created the thing were the people who created the mask. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. You can just swab something in this mask and tell everybody you got to wear it and sniff it. How can you go get your protection from the person who put you in a position where you need the protection? And I remember, you know, when they were trying to force everybody to take the test, never mind the jab, you had to go get tested. And I walked in and I saw what they were doing to people here. Let me jab this up into your, you know, your upper cranium eye socket. I'm like, what's on there? Where'd this test come from? And please don't tell me this thing you're jabbing up people's noses, that you're digging around in their nasal cavity. Please tell me that thing didn't come from China. Oh, it did, huh? Bye. So you're telling me the thing launched in China, the mask that you wanted people to wear came from China, and the stick you stuck up people's faces came from China. How do you know, how do you have any idea which one of those things in that process had anything to do with what happened? Where's your control? Oh, 90% of these come from China. Where are the other 10%? Where are they from? Somalia? We can never be in a position ever again where 90% of anything comes from another country. That is suicide.
The purchase of Greenland is not a land deal. It's an attempt to break a chokehold. I was interested to find out that the largest shareholder in the Kvanefjeld mining operation is China, and that China wanted to buy the other one, but apparently the U.S. State Department intervened, and so that sale didn't go through. But is this as much about national security regarding rare earth minerals as it is missile defense at the Golden Dome?
Well, critical minerals have so much to do with America's economic security, and we know that economic security and prosperity is essential to a strong national security. And so I think the president is right to think about Greenland with respect to critical minerals and economic incentives. But of course, his main focus is on ensuring we can acquire this extremely important territory in the Arctic for America's national security and to prevent a future war. Again, if Russia or China were to invade Greenland in the future, the United States would be required to defend our NATO allies, and that's something, of course, the United States would do. And so the president is looking at preventing future conflicts, again, not just for the benefit of the United States, but also for our European allies and friends, many of whom the president has been meeting with today and discussing with. And I know they were all very pleased with his speech. I was in the room, John, and it has rave reviews because the president just tells it like it is. And he came here with his America First vision on full display, talking about how the American economy is booming once again through massive
speaking of the economy booming once again, once people figured out he wasn't going to be tariffing the hell out of everybody and that he looked like he's going to have a deal with Greenland, the stock market shot up. I mean, basically, President Trump has turned into also, besides the president and the Don, he's also, at this point, E.F. Hutton. When he says something, the stock market jumps. Now, some of you guys were probably looking at silver today and going, hey, silver went down a little bit. It went down like a point or so, 1%. That's okay. It's still at 91, 92. It's going to bounce right back because when all this is said and done, it's about minerals and protection, which you have to use the minerals to be able to protect. So it's coming.
regulation, an energy boom, the president fulfilling his promise to drill, baby, drill. You look at the tax cuts he signed into law, all of these things coming together to put together a really exceptional American economy. And I think he's really inspiring a lot of leaders in Europe to take that same approach. The Green New Scam energy failed policies of Europe and mass migration are failing these great countries.
You know, it's weird. Sometimes I look over in a chat, Ashley and Robin say ignore it. But I just wish we could excise a demon. Hey, with what you saw today, with everything that you saw happen, especially if you watched it with me this morning, how could you possibly at this point, after watching Greenland acquiesce, after watching Finland acquiesce, after watching these European countries all basically kiss the ring, how can you possibly post a comment like this? We're tired of hearing all about how it is to do something. We are tired of smoke with no results. Did you really not see any results today? Come on, be honest. There's only a couple thousand people here. Tell us you didn't see any results today. Be a big boy, big girl and say, I didn't see anything worthwhile today. Nothing happened. Serious? Are we all? Did we all see something that person didn't see? No results? Let me just go back and recap something. Your president, who you supposedly voted for, got on a plane after going to a football game, stayed up all night, fly back, do what he got to do, started to go over to Davos, turned around, came back, went 10 hours back to Switzerland. Probably didn't sleep, got on stage and owned the event and got foreign countries to say, yes, DONFATHER. And you at, what time is it? 7:37, just told us you didn't see any results? You might be in the wrong chat, bro.
And so I think the president really struck an inspirational tone with all of them today, but of course that has yet to be seen if they will act accordingly.
Caroline, we know you're gonna head back to that dinner shortly, and the president is there right now. If you could just sort of give us the headline you believe that President Trump would give from his time there in Davos so far, the conversations he's had, and what he's taken in from these world leaders and CEOs.
I think the president would say, and everyone here would agree, America is back. And
it's really funny, talking about results. I don't know, sometimes well, let me just show you.
So severely suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Obviously, all of them, and the only people who are happy about that are probably their therapists who are getting rich off of these individuals because it's an incurable syndrome. We all know that. The lives saved by this president, though, I'm so glad, Laura, you are talking about this. Thank you. There were around 100,000 deaths a year by illicit drug overdoses, 20% decline in that. That's 20,000 lives here in the United States of America that this president has saved. Think about the people, the criminals he's getting out of this country, the lives he's saving by doing that, the wars he's ended around the world, the lives he's saved by doing that. I would argue this president has probably saved more lives around the world than anyone else single-handedly in my lifetime. But the Democrats are going to continue down this path. And the problem they're also going to have is whenever the one big beautiful bill comes into effect in full by this, spring and summer, as all the experts have predicted, they're going to have to stop talking about affordability. So get ready for more of this craziness to ramp up. They're going to sling a lot of insults around because they have nothing else to run on. And I hope the American people are paying close attention.
Where's my button? And that just happened as that person's like, I don't see any results. I'm like, huh? Dude, you may need to go see an optometrist or what do they call the people who work on your ears and do some ear checks. If you didn't see results today, you are not going to see results because you don't want to see results. You don't understand what results are. Well, I want to see Epstein arrested or something.
The whole world knows it. President Trump is undoubtedly the leader of the free world. He's also the businessman and negotiator in chief. And so there was a very long list of foreign leaders and business leaders who wanted to meet with the president today. And he's been taking part in many of those private meetings behind closed doors in between all of the public remarks you've been hearing. So I'm going to get back downstairs. I know he's going to be meeting with Secretary of NATO, and I'm sure the press will be in the room for that as well.
Can I ask you one more quick question before you have to go? This whole thing is about how to resolve the question of Greenland, and how do you do it? President took invasion off the table. Now it's down to negotiation. Mark Thiessen posited this in a Washington Post editorial yesterday. He said, how to resolve the Greenland standoff. He said, the United States needs Greenland for its national security, but it doesn't need to actually own Greenland.
Somebody's saying that there was an echo. It must have been a gremlin in the machine. It wasn't me. As you can hear, I'm talking. I don't see an echo or anything else. So must have been a gremlin in the machine. So audio check 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking everything's fine unless you see otherwise.
Trump can easily address U.S. security concerns without taking full control of the island. Indeed, the model lies on another island just 90 miles off our shores, the U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. So that would be a lease agreement. I know the president kind of ruled that out this morning, but is there potential for that type of deal to work?
Well, I certainly don't want to be the one to rule out any options for the president and the negotiator in chief, but the president has made it clear he's pretty adamant about the ownership and acquisition of Greenland for full protection for the Golden Dome, which the United States of America is working to build, and also, again, for our national security and our military. So we'll see how these negotiations continue. But I would, again, just point out that to everyone who thinks this is a very ambitious and perhaps crazy idea as it's being spun up in the media, this is something presidents have talked about for a long time. And look at the deals President Trump has been able to broker over the past year. The release of the Israeli hostages, 8 wars solved because of his negotiating skills. Anyone who doubts President Trump clearly has not been paying attention.
A few moments later.
It's going to be put out pretty soon. I mean, we'll see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. It gets us everything we needed to get.
Will the U.S. still get Greenland? Will the U.S. still get Greenland, sir?
What did he say that convinced you?
Say it?
What did Mark Rutte say?
Well, he's a great leader. I think he's fantastic. The Secretary General was representing the other side, which is really us too, because, you know, we're a very important member of NATO. I've done a lot for NATO. And it's really nice. I mean, it's a deal that everybody's very happy with.
All right, Fox News alert out of Davos, Switzerland, breaking right now. New information from President Trump about Greenland. Posting moments ago on Truth Social, he said, based upon a very productive meeting that I have had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, and here's a big part of this, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect on February the 1st. Watch your 401k. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland. Further information will be made available as discussions progress. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and various others, as needed, will be responsible for the negotiations. They will report directly to me. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald Trump, President of the United States. Ed Law.
All right, so this is what President Trump posted on True Social. That's what he just read. He made it official himself. Oops, excuse me. He made it official himself. The deal is now done. Well, the framework of the deal is done. And now from here, they will go ahead and solidify everything. At this point, there's nothing signed that we know of, but there is a deal to get everything he wants from Greenland, which is why he went over there. He went over there to basically secure a deal with Greenland, and he's coming home tonight with that in hand. I doubt they're going to try and double cross him or do anything stupid. I think this will get signed to cross the T's and dot the I's, but the deal he will have will involve not owning Greenland, which I don't think he was ever going to get, but it has a serious control aspect of what Greenland is providing, given to the Donfather.
That's taking lots of pictures.
It's on you to put that prize.
Exactly.
They must also be tired. They all flew with you.
Many of them flew with me. If they're not good, they won't fly back. They're very good. Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you, and I thank the media for being here. We've taken long trips, and this was a long one, but it's been working very well. We're having tremendous meetings with heads of state, with people of very big consequence having to do with war and peace, which is why we're here. And I just want to thank the Secretary General for being with us. We have a few things to discuss. It was a meeting I actually look very forward to. He's doing a fantastic job. We've been friends. We lifted GDP from 2% to 5% together. That was done jointly, and it worked out really very well, and we appreciate it, Mark. So we'll be talking about various things. We'll be talking about Greenland, I imagine, and make.
The gentleman who he just acknowledged is the Secretary General of NATO. And so this is the guy who has told the other countries, you better get up to speed. Oops, wrong one.
Come up in our discussion. And but I think the trip has been amazing so far. It's been amazing. As you know, we're staying, and tomorrow we're doing something else having to do with the Board of Peace. We're getting tremendous acceptance of that. It's going to be great. So we'll see.
All right, so that is going to be important. I guess he's saying they're staying tonight. They've got something to do with the Board of Peace, which I found out what they're going to be doing with the Board of Peace, and I don't know how he did it. I don't know. You're going to see it in a second. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, that all works out, but we're doing that tomorrow. So thank you very much, media. Thank you very much. And Mark, would you like to
just briefly, what I just wanted to say again, as I did this morning when I was in a panel, I want to thank you again for what you did since coming in January, Trump 47. Basically getting the Europeans and Canada to really step up, and that led to the enormous success we had in The Hague with the 5%, which is crucial to defend ourselves and to also equalize with what the US is paying. This was a problem already there since Eisenhower. I always tell the Europeans, you are completely committed to NATO, but there is also that one irritant, and that is this factor, that the Europeans were not paying the same as the US was paying. And we solved it, and this is crucial also because we need the money to protect ourselves. There's one thing.
We need the money to protect ourselves. Pay Marco. Slip Marco the envelope as we walk out, okay? Because that's what he's saying. We got the money, Donfather. We Donfather. Everything's going to be good. We understand we have to pay for protection. And so all of my, conflating of this with the Godfather, you're watching it. They just happen to have suits and ties and are leaders of countries and stuff, but he just told you, we understand we got to pay for protection. I'm thinking to myself, this is straight out of the movie. Just give me the money, give him the envelope, either him or Scott Bessent. They'll take the envelope from you. And if you think I'm kidding, wait until you see the next, well, not the next cut, but there's another cut in here, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, everybody's ponying up. Everybody at this point is digging deep into the pocket and saying, yes, Donfather, please make sure you don't come at me.
I heard you say yesterday and today, you were not absolutely sure that the Europeans would come to the rescue of the US if you will be attacked. Let me tell you, they will. And they did in Afghanistan, as you know, for every American who paid the ultimate, for every 2 Americans who paid the ultimate price, there was 1 soldier from another NATO country who did not come back to his family. From the Netherlands, from Denmark, particularly, from other countries. So you can be assured, absolutely, if ever the US will be under attack, your allies will be with you.
Godfather. My family, we are with you. We will die for you. We will stand in battle with you. He didn't have to say that in public at this meeting, or did he? As I'm watching the Secretary General of NATO talk to the President of the United States and say, yeah, we died for you before, and we're going to die for you again, and we'll stand right there with you. You know, so many people on the left have a problem with loyalty and allegiance. Donald Trump craves both of those. No secret. I need to know you're loyal. I need to know you're behind me. And this guy came out and made a public declaration. A public declaration. We are going to be toe to toe, side by side with you if you ever need us. Not that they could do much, but at least they're saying we'll pay you for protection and we'll stand with you.
Absolutely, there's an absolute guarantee. I really want to tell you this because it is important. It pains me if you think it is not. And under your leadership, this alliance is stronger than ever.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great compliment. Any questions?
Mr. President, the Danish foreign minister rejected your call to negotiate on Greenland. What will
I didn't call him.
No, sorry. The Danish foreign minister rejected what you said in your speech that you were hoping to negotiate to acquire Greenland, essentially saying that this is not something that they are willing to discuss. So what will those negotiations
Well, they
look
didn't
like?
tell me that, so when they tell me, because I don't like getting it secondhand, if he wants to tell me, he'll tell me that to my face.
Seriously. Is this not something that you would see Marlon Brando say? If you got something to say it to me. Say it to my face. And the reporter had nothing. I'm done here because I have nowhere to go when somebody says, if you got something to say it to my face. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. Your president just called out Denmark and said, you badass? Come on. This was obviously before the deal was cut. So before the deal was cut, the Denmark or their Danish president was out there on X or doing interviews and saying blah, 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 blah. And at that point, you got nowhere to go. You got something to say? I didn't think so.
Will you be discussing this?
I have no idea.
When you said
I'll be discussing it with this man right here.
Mr. President.
Clipped, nuts clipped. What are you going to have to say when you talk to him? I ain't talking to him. He's irrelevant at this point. Don't these people understand that Donald Trump has put them in absolute checkmate and there's nothing you can do? You can't stop what's coming. Either you're going to give it or we're going to take it. And so you can talk all you want, but now I've even clipped your nuts and said, I don't even need to talk to you. You are of no relevance to us. There's nothing you can do. I'll talk to this guy. I'll talk to him and let him go tell you the what for. That's a boss move.
He's frankly more important.
Mr. President, when you said you would remember if Denmark did not agree to a deal on Greenland, what did you mean? What are the consequences?
You'll have to figure that out for yourself. You're a smart guy.
Hey, tough guy. Hey, tough guy. Somebody wrote and said something again. You're not listening. Where it was. Somebody goes, Barry, it's a lease. They don't own it. Just watch what happens over the next couple of days. Watch what happens. Make yourself feel comfortable. If you feel like a deal wasn't done, that there's no way it's gonna stand up or anything else. I can't feed your paranoia. But does he look like he's kidding? I mean, you voted for him. Does he look like he's kidding? You know, the same guy who flew a bomber or a couple bombers across the world, bombed Iran and came back. The same guy who went into Venezuela, went to the palace, dropped poop bombs, put the guy on a helicopter and flew back. Does he look like he's kidding? So when you're sitting here and you're doubting whether or not the deal is going to happen, you're doubting the guy who's telling you he's got a deal. It's not me. I'm not insulted. I'm thinking, you ain't understanding what's going on or don't want to understand or are so twisted about Pam Bondi and stuff that you're not seeing what he just did on a global stage. I'm not being a bootlicker. I'm just a guy, and I understand the alpha moves this guy made. I understand how people acquiesced. And as you see more of this video, you're going to realize what happened.
President, do you see a price for Greenland that's reasonable?
I could see that, yeah. I could see
How
that.
would you calculate
I could see that, but there's a bigger price, and that's the price of safety and security and national security and international security having to do with many of your countries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he was only talking about any security issues they may have with other countries in the world? Or were we one of those people that you got to worry about too? See, if you understand the full move here, if you understand the alphaness of what he's doing, you will understand he's made it clear you're paying for our protection both ways. We're going to make sure other people don't mess with you, and we won't mess with you. There's a double layer of protection here. We're going to stop other bad guys, and we ain't going to mess with you either. Give us the money. Security goes both ways. We're not afraid of Denmark. We're not afraid of Italy or Germany or some of these countries. They're concerned about other countries, feasting on them. We got you. Now, at the same time, pay up to make sure we continue to got you.
That's really the price, and that's the big price. And as you know, we're doing the Golden Dome. It's going to be very expensive. And it's better if we have Greenland than it is without. It's going to be safer. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be better for Europe, and it's going to be better for us. And so we'll see what happens. Any other question?
Would it be reassuring to hear the NATO Secretary General say NATO will defend the United States if it comes under attack?
Well, I hope that that's true. I mean, he's a good man. He's never lied to me before. We've had a good relationship, and he made that statement. That's nice. I mean, I just, when I see what's happening with Greenland, I wonder, because I want Greenland for security. I don't want it for anything else. We have so much rare earth. We don't know what to do with it. We don't need it for anything else. And in terms of Greenland, you have to go 25 feet down through ice to get it. It's not something that a lot of people are going to do or want to do. No, this is security we're talking about. And I can say one thing about Mark. He wants security, and he wants security for all of us. I think we're a member of NATO. He wants security for NATO and beyond. So when he says that, Steve, I think it's very nice. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Thank you.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Let's go. Start moving.
I would probably volunteer for that job. I would probably volunteer for the job to kick the press out. That would be so much fun. So I hope you're seeing a huge, actually, it's beyond chess at this point. It's almost like Hunger Game-ish. And he has brought these people, as Hillary Clinton once said, he's brought these people to heal. For the last couple months, we have heard all these countries, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to do it. He even as far as like 2 days ago, Carney from Canada saying, he's going to do this and do that. And Trump blew him off too. I'm going to let him say it to my face as well. They do it for their own bravado to their own people. It's sort of like somebody telling you, I'm going to kick your rear end. Go for it. Oh, no, you don't want to do that, do you? Yeah, because why? And I know inherently this pisses off a whole lot of people who've grown up in the last 10 years. See, what I'm watching right now is something I grew up with. Many of you who are my age, you boomers, you grew up with that. There was a pecking order. There was a hierarchy. There was a hierarchy in the schoolyard. There was a hierarchy on the field. There was a hierarchy in business. There's always a faster gun, as the saying went. We've always knew. I mean, you size some people up. I wonder if I could take that guy. There was always a doubt whether or not you could do something to that person. And until you got popped, until that first tackle, until you realize I might have messed up by challenging this person, that's how we grew up. And over the last, 10, 12 years, they've completely taken that away. The movies don't show men like that anymore. And so, yes, it's concerning. It drives them crazy. I mean, think about the woman who got shot in Minnesota. She didn't realize there were real bullets. Like, wait a second. It's a real gun, but you don't think these people carry real bullets. So I'm going to try and drive into them. They did it again today. Another guy tried to drive into a sheriff. He got lucky because the sheriff missed. ICE agent missed when he popped the shots off. But they don't understand the order of the jungle. And that order of the jungle sounds so primitive. But how do you think the rest of us survived? We knew we had to basically do what was necessary to protect ourselves, protect our families, protect everything we own, because we knew there were other bad guys who might want to try and take that stuff. Not now. These purple-haired baristas have no idea on how to be, toxic. Toxic is bad for them when it's actually what we need more of.
I think you can see by the audience, they're thrilled, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, thank you very much. And he's a hell of a guy, but we have an audience. I recognize so many. I know so many. We have the king of soccer, the king of sports over here, Johnny. When you have Johnny, and I heard I just got a report on the sales of tickets. There's never been anything like it, so that's good. You're going to break every record. So thank you for choosing us. We appreciate that. He's another spectacular person. And so many people in the audience, and I have this beautiful speech, page after page, and I just said, I just made a speech, and they were all here. They heard it one way or the other. And I said, the last thing we want to do is waste our time and hear it again. But I do want to say the people in this room are amazing. Most of you were in the other room also. And the United States is doing really well, doing like nobody thought was actually possible, certainly not this soon. It's 1 year. It's exactly a year. If you think about it, time flies. It's 25%. It's a long time. But it went very, very fast. We've had tremendous luck. I think it's been reported by even people that aren't lovers of Donald Trump that it's been maybe the best first year for any president. I think in terms of what we've accomplished, it might very well be. But we've accomplished a lot, including ending 8 wars. I have 1 to go. I thought that was going to be one of the easiest ones, and it's turning out to be one of the tougher ones. But you heard me say before, 25,000, 30,000 people are dying a month. It's ridiculous. And I think we're getting close. Jared's here, and Steve Witkoff is here. And a lot of people that are working on that are here, and they've done a good job. I think it could have gone into a world where if we weren't here, it was out of control. But I think we're going to get it resolved. And I'm doing it to save 30,000 people a month. If you can imagine your kid, take your son leaves home, waves, you're proud of him, you're so beautiful, and then 2 weeks later he had his head blown off fighting Ukraine or fighting Russia. It's both of them. The total are averaging 30,000, actually 30,000 young people, generally soldiers, a little bit in towns, but for the most part it's soldiers. Every single month they're dying. So I think we're going to do well there. But we have Scott Bessent, who everyone knows, and Howard Lutnick, and these guys are doing a fantastic job with what we're doing. They were both recommended by many of the people in this room. I said, what do you think of Scott? Oh, he's fantastic. What do you think of Howard? A very different type. I would say these are 2 exact opposites. And I like that. I like that. They are the exact opposite. I never thought of it that way. I'm just saying that I'm looking at you two. You are in every way, but they're tremendously talented people and very successful people. And I like bringing successful people in because there's a reason for success. It's one of the reasons that we've had such success. We took over a country with a border that was a disaster where millions of people were coming in. Millions of people were coming in every single week. Literally a week we'd have millions of people, and and they weren't vetted. Totally open border. You'd have people come in. You could look at them. I don't want to say why define that, because they always discriminate. So I don't discriminate. But you could look at some people and say they're criminals. And we took in tremendous numbers of murderers, drug dealers, mental institution, insane asylum people, people that were in insane asylum institutions for the mentally ill and dangerous, very dangerous. They dumped them into our country like we were dirt, and we're doing a great job of getting them out. But it's it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's a nasty business too. But if they were bad someplace else, they're going to be bad here. If they killed people in their country, whether it was Venezuela or the Congo or any of the countries where they came. In the Congo, they emptied out their jails into our country. In Venezuela, they did the same.
By the way, I'm letting this play because this was one of the last speeches that he made for the day, and I didn't see much of it covered on television, so I just wanted to make sure you guys saw this speech.
And in many other countries, they did the same thing. So when you read all these stories about ICE, you'll understand they're doing a hell of a job, because we can't have those people in our country, and we're getting them out. But we're doing numbers in terms of people investing in the United States like we've never had before. And I guess it's because of November 5th, the election, but the election gave us a view, and it's a view on tariffs to protect our country, because our country is being plucked like you pluck a chicken. Our country was being plucked, and it wasn't good. And, you can only take so much of it. And we've changed it around very quickly, and we've had, we'll have, Scott, I'd say $600 billion worth of tariff money coming in, and I think we're going to have maybe more than that. By next year, it'll be much more than that. That's not including the countries and companies, because we have countries coming over and building, but we have companies, great companies coming in. Apple is spending $650 billion. I mean, it's so many. One just announced $10 billion. Toyota, I met Mr. Toyota in Japan. So what's your name? Toyota. I said, oh, do you own the car company? Yes, 92%. I said, you didn't have to be that specific. But I said, you're rich. Yes, I'm rich. But he just announced he's going to do $10 billion worth of plants. So it's amazing what's going on. Look, it's amazing. We've never had anything like it or close. Nobody else has either. So I think in terms of your investments, you're in great shape. I don't even ask anybody how you're doing now. It's like everybody is making so much money. Oh, look who I see, Tim. Hi, Tim Cook. He's been good for think of it, $650 billion. Okay, can you imagine? That's what he's going to be investing. More than that. I think it's going to end up being more. He's great. He's great. He's done some job. You have done really some job. And we have so many people in this room that have done a job. I don't know how many have done better than Tim, but some are right up there with you. You better get your ass moving, I'll tell you. But fantastic people. But I go around and I say, meet the biggest people, biggest business people. I say, congratulations. They say, on what? I said, you've doubled your net worth since I've been president, right? He said, yeah, even more than that. They would say even more. We're doing even better than that. And, we've given you a platform where you can really put your genius to work. We have a lot of brilliant, genius people in this room, and you can put that genius to work. And it's an honor to do it. In a way, I'm jealous. In a way, I'm upset. There are a couple of people in the room, I can't stand them, and they've become very rich. There's nothing I can do about it. I would screw them if I could, but I can't do it, right, Dina? I can't do it. I would if I had a chance, if I could just take them and say, you can't do what Apple's doing. But you're not allowed to do that, Newt Gingrich, right? We can't do it. But I would love to do it, really. It's one of those things. But everybody's making a lot of money, and everybody's investing money in.
Be asking is, have the Europeans lost
the United States, and our jobs are through the roof? And I made a statement the other day. Thank goodness for robots, because we're never going to have enough people to run all these places that are being built. And I think robots are actually going to be a very big business. I think it's going to be surprisingly big, but I think we're going to need it. We're going to need it. So we have a country that's becoming very safe. We had the best crime numbers that we've had ever in recorded history. Perhaps they were better 100 years ago, I'm not sure, but The recorded history is 67 years, and in 67 years, they're the best numbers, and that's despite having a lot of people in the country that shouldn't be here, that we're getting out. But we've got tough law enforcement, smart law enforcement, and patriotic law enforcement. They've been amazing. One example is Washington, D.C. You couldn't walk down the street in Washington. You get mugged, you get killed. They were losing 100 people. Think of it, 100 people a year, and dead. You call up the parents, they come in from Iowa, they come in from Indiana to see the Washington Monument, and they end up being killed. It's not happening anymore. And I said in the other room, people are going to dinner, they're meeting their wives in the middle of the street, and they're walking across the street to have dinner. New restaurants are being built at records that nobody's ever seen. They were closing. We lost half of the restaurants in the last 4 years during the Biden administration. Now they're all opening again. I even went to have dinner just to show, I guess, to make a point. I went to a restaurant in Washington. I walked right down the middle of the street. I wouldn't say that Secret Service was thrilled, but if I did it a year before, believe me, it wouldn't work. Here's my other friend, Hussein. How are you? Okay? Are you good? Boy, you got a lot of good people here. This is a very good place. But so it's amazing what's happened there. Memphis is amazing. When you go to Louisiana, what we've done there has been incredible. Always much more helpful if we could have a little participation. In the case of Louisiana, we have Jeff Landry, the governor, Republican governor. We have a couple of Democrat governors. We have a couple of Democrat mayors who very quietly are begging us for help, and we're making them all look very good. But I would do it if I were a Democrat, if I were a mayor or a governor. I'd be saying, Mr. Trump, could you quietly come over here and would you do this, President, for me? Send about 1,000 troops in here. And we do it fast, and we get rid of the criminals, and it's amazing how effective. I didn't campaign on this. I campaigned on law and order, but I didn't know it would be this type of law and order. But the cities, some of these cities, we've lost these cities, and we're bringing them back, and we're bringing them back quickly. Washington took us literally 6 weeks to make it safe, and 8 weeks to make it really safe, and now it's really safe. And I don't know, some people disagree, but I like seeing those big, strong soldiers. We won in the Supreme Court a very important case, merit. Our country was built on merit, and then all of a sudden we got away from that, and people with A averages and high college boards and everything were not able to get into colleges, and people that had C averages and low college boards were getting in. And, it's not fair, but our country is based on merit. The whole concept and the whole system only works on merit. It doesn't work on anything else. And our military works.
So right there, I just wanted to stop for a second. That is a direct shot at Mondami and the communists. I mean, he couldn't have been more direct with that. This country is going to be and has been built upon merit, meritorious performance. Not, we're going to get rid of rugged individualism and we're going to focus on the collectivism. The Democrats, socialists, commies, all the same thing. They've come out publicly. As you heard Mondami say, we want to basically get away from rugged individualism. We don't want it to be merit-based. We want to be able to dole out money to people like they're, little birdies in a nest, just waiting for someone to give them something. And so at the crux of everything, President Trump is telling you, we are going to be a meritorious, performance-based country. That's how it's supposed to be. Not just because you got 6 kids, 4 baby daddies, and now we got to feed you. You're in that nest and I got to drop you in, gruel. No, you have to be meritorious. All of us, I would presume, depending on your age, that's all we had growing up. Everything was about merit. Coming home with the report card, putting the star on the refrigerator, getting a trophy that you actually earned. I knew the day things had turned when everybody got a trophy. I'm like, who's that little fat kid? He got a trophy? Yeah, he's on the team. Everybody gets a trophy. Huh? We're not going to keep score. What do you mean you don't keep score? How are you going to know who wins? Oh, it's not about winning. Wait a second. Everybody gets a trophy, and you're not keeping score because you don't want there to be losers. So these people are going to grow up and end up running around in the streets of Minnesota because they've never been told you're a loser. How do you expect to get better if you never lose? If all your entire life is participation trophies and pats on the head and you're as good as Timmy over there, and you never understand that you're a loser so that you can get better so you don't have to continue being a loser, where was America headed? To me, it just seems like it's beyond the pale that the President of the United States has to reinforce to people that we're bringing merit back. How the hell did you ever get away from being meritorious? That just blew me away what he just said. I don't know if you guys caught that, but for someone, whether it's your parents, your brother, your sister, your grandmother, your grandfather, to have to tell you, you got to earn something. You got to be meritorious. You got to prove that you can do it. These kids and these people have grown up the last 10, 12 years not ever having to be meritorious.
Now, and when you see the soldiers in the street in Washington or in Memphis or in New Orleans or in some of these places, including Chicago, we have crime down in Chicago, despite the fact that we have an idiot governor and a mayor very low IQ person. He's a low IQ person. And it's amazing. You have these wonderful, beautiful black women with Make America Great Again, MAGA caps on. They're all over Chicago. They want MAGA to come in. And we went in a pretty quiet way, as opposed to the way we did it in Minnesota. In Minnesota, we took out over 10,000 hardline criminals, people with big convictions that came in here that shouldn't be here, brought them back to countries. In some cases, we bring them to jails because if you bring them back to the country, they'll find a way, despite the strong borders, they'll find a way in, because a lot of them are really evil, but they're not stupid. So we're doing a real job. The country's the hottest country anywhere in the world, the best place to invest. The great big beautiful bill is incredible. You get that 1 year deduction, you build something and you take the whole thing down. And I always said that's what made my first term so successful, because people were buying things. I have a friend bought an airplane. He never used it. He just bought it. He said, I deducted it. He's on the plane. I think he's got, Steve, you could buy it. He's got about 4 hours on the plane. It's been 3 years. I think he's got to be a great plane to buy, actually, because he'll never use it. But it really spurred people to do things and do projects that they really would have delayed or held. And the beautiful thing about the great big beautiful bill, the one that we just did, is over there you had a 2-year window to do it. Now we have a 10-year window, which I hate to tell you because people will take their time. So in one way I didn't want that. I call that not good, but it is good ultimately. Think of it, it gives me a chance to use it if and when I ever get out of this position. There's a big question. It gives me a chance to use it. Otherwise I'd be precluded. That would be terrible, right? But it's 10 years, but you're able to, you build something, you build a factory, you write the whole thing off 1 year. Nobody's ever thought that was possible. It was always 38, sometimes 40, sometimes 41 years, to get a little here.
So what he's describing there is something that most people never get to do. They don't understand, and I'm not talking down to people, but you haven't had the ability to enjoy depreciation. And when you have depreciation in the past, you used to have to write it down over the life of the asset, whether it's a 20-year house or 25 or a truck or something. You had to spread it out over the lifespan. Now it's immediate CapEx. You can deduct it right then and there. So at the end of the year, last year in November and December, you could literally go out and buy, a Cybertruck for $180,000 and then write it off. If you're doing it for business, does what? It puts it back into the entire economy.
You're a little there, nothing. You write it all up. So it's been really amazing, and you are the people that made it happen. Really, largely it's you and a group of others. Not a lot more. The people here, I guess, because of Larry, the people that came to this event. It's really incredible. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. We had somebody, as you know, that ran it for many, many years, and I'm not sure what happened there, but I figured, well, that's all right. They had a hell of a run in Davos. Then I heard Larry was taking it over, more or less, and he called me. He said, would you do me a favor? Would you be there? And we've had some great business dealings together, and he's great. He's one of you. He's one of the greats, and it was an honor. We had a good speech.
Now understand the guy Larry Fink, the guy he's talking about, took Klaus Schwab's job, and he is now the head of the WEF. He also happens to run a company called BlackRock, which everybody always says, oh my God, BlackRock. And they have bought houses by the gazillions. And as you know, he's standing next to Larry Fink, the guy who is going to be directly affected by the new executive order that says you can't do it anymore. You can't buy houses en masse like that. So not only was he throwing it down on Denmark and other countries, these business people, I mean, Larry Fink is standing right next to him. And Larry Fink had to have seen the executive order that he dropped yesterday saying, nope, you're no longer going to be able to do it. Some people looked at the executive order and were happy. Other people looked at the executive order and said it's, basically hurting business. But you guys got to have it one way or the other, because if people want to buy more houses, we can't have corporations buying 600, 700, 800 houses at a time. And the guy who's most directly affected is the guy standing right next to him.
We got great reviews. I can't believe it. We got good reviews in that speech. Usually they say he's a horrible dictator type person. I'm a dictator. But sometimes you need a dictator. But they didn't say that in this case. And no, it's common sense. It's all based on common sense. It's not conservative or liberal or anything else. It's mostly, let's say 95% common sense, and that's what we have. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. It's such an honor. And if we can ever help, you're going to let me know. And I have a pretty direct line. Marco Rubio's here, too. He's done a fantastic job as Secretary of State. He'll go down as maybe the best Secretary of State if he keeps going like he's going. That's a big question. I don't know that he will, but for the first year, he's right. He's headed to the top. And I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.
What's interesting to me and why I kept this part of the tape on is how many of these people wanted to get to him. How many people still wanted to shake his hand? How many people wanted to have a word with President Trump? The libs will tell you everybody hated it. Nobody wanted to talk to Trump. Well, the tape says otherwise. It's a Secret Service nightmare. The woman the woman in the black coat here is obviously Secret Service, and Trump's just walking up to people and shaking her hands, and she's like, I'm trying to keep an eye on where he's going. He felt comfortable enough to just continue shaking people's hands. See, this is the type of stuff the media, especially the left media, is not going to show you. In fact, you won't even see this on Fox because it's dead time. Nobody really cares about who's shaking his hand. But to me, that's really important because the other counter narrative is that people were embarrassed. People didn't want to talk to President Trump. Nobody cared what he had to say. And even the people who aren't rushing up to him are all smiling. They're not upset. Do you know why? Because they're all going to make bank. That's why. They understand. See, there's one message that's more powerful than anything to some of these people as he was calling them out. Hey, BlackRock, I know I just cut your throat by telling you can't buy a bunch of other houses, but you'll be able to CapEx. You'll be able to deduct all the stuff that you've been doing. Hey, Tim Cook, $650 billion. Yep, he's letting everybody else know we're open for business. If these bigwigs, if these people are doing business with America, you need to be doing business with America. This went on for a lot longer than I could have recorded, because otherwise you guys would be here bored. But he just kept shaking hands. So you get the point. You get the point. He was going on. He was shaking people's hands. They weren't rushing to get out of there. They were smiling. And the media is not going to say it that way. But I didn't even turn on. I could have probably done a show with just a liberal responses. But why? All they're going to do is the same thing the trolls in here are doing, trying to tell you that what you see with your eyes isn't true. See, the problem with trolls and the problem with the left is that you can actually hear them and you can see them. And you saw what he said today. There's no way to obfuscate that. Let me take some comments since you guys have been waiting here. SV, Trump's created the Board of Peace, brokered all the peace deals worldwide, and is shutting down threats to the people of the world. He is. Wait till you see one of them coming up here. Trump is going to do what Trump is going to do, and nobody's going to tell Trump what the F to do. They are going after the ice dogs at the kennels. Oh, my gosh. That's where you need to get shot. You definitely need to get shot. Trump was well received when he arrived, and all wanted to shake his hands when it ended. Absolutely. What else we got here? Nope. MSM will never show the facts. Not at all. Not at all. They just won't. They won't show it. They don't want you to see this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna take a 90-second break, and then I'll be back with some more stuff for you.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Talked about being concerned, Mr. President, about Russia trying to come and take over Greenland. If you're worried that Putin would do something like that, why invite him to join your Board of Peace?
And of course, that's Caitlin Collins with another gotcha question. She just doesn't give up, or her producers, they just don't give up. This is at 9:00 p.m. President Trump's trying to leave the facility, and she comes up with this stupid question. If you want to talk about peace, why would you invite Putin? Well, you're about to find out why.
Because we want everybody. We want all nations. We want all nations where people have control, people have power. That way we're never going to have a problem. This is the greatest board ever assembled, and everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence, and if I put all babies on the board, there wouldn't be very much. So he was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done. And we'll work with the United Nations, but the Board of Peace is going to be special. We're going to have peace. It started off with Gaza, the Middle East. We've got peace in the Middle East, tremendous peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible, and that happened by taking out the Iran nuclear threat. Without that, it could have never happened. But the board is going to be, I think, really fantastic. And I think it'll be the most prestigious board of any board ever in world history. Thank you very much.
Okay. So her question was, why would you invite somebody like Vladimir Putin? You know, Putin is a butcher. He's KGB. Why would you invite Vladimir Putin? Well, I'll just let Vladimir tell you why.
Considering Russia's special relations with the Palestinian people, I think that we could contribute $1 billion to the Board of Peace from the frozen assets by the assets.
Did you catch that? I got really broken English, even the interpreter, but he goes, to the Board of Peace, we will contribute $1 billion. Caitlin didn't know about that. Most people don't know about it because they didn't hear it. They didn't put this on the news. That's why he got invited. President Trump did a deal with him. You want to come on this thing? Yeah, I'd like to be that, Donald. Okay, it's going to cost you $1 billion. I think we can arrange that. Let Vlad tell you again what he's going to be doing, because nobody's talking about this.
Russia's special relations with the Palestinian people, I think that we could contribute $1 billion to the Board of Peace from the frozen assets by the assets frozen by the previous administration, and the remaining funds from the funds frozen in the United States could be used to rebuild territories that suffered during hostilities once.
The man is a master deal maker. You know what? Biden went and took all of our money. Not all of our money. Biden took $1 billion or more. How about this? We'll go ahead and forfeit it. You can use that money for the Board of Peace. I'll sign off on it. I won't fight you. Here's $1 billion to go use and build Mega Gaza. Tell me how the Democrats complain about that. Tell me how Democrats bitch about this guy, Vlad Putin, giving $1 billion to help the Palestinian people. I mean, if you didn't think there were checkmates going on earlier, it just keeps happening. And who knows what he's going to do tomorrow? $1 billion from Putin. Nobody wants anyone to know about that. I looked around. I'm like, is anybody else covering the fact that Putin's giving $1 billion to Trump for the Board of Peace? Obviously, Caitlin didn't know.
We signed a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. We're discussing this with the representatives of the U.S. administration, and I hope that we will be able to discuss all these matters with President of Palestine Mahmoud Abbas, as well as with the American representatives, with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, who will be arriving in Moscow tomorrow to continue our dialogue on the Ukraine settlement.
So, oh my gosh. So Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are leaving Davos, and they're going into Moscow to talk to Putin about ending that war and picking up a check for $1 billion. Not picking up a check, an authorization for $1 billion to go into the Board of Peace, which President Trump will control. If that ain't deal making, I don't know what is. He was able to get a guy who's going to war with the other idiot and saying, join our Board of Peace while you're at war. Join the Board of Peace and give me $1 billion. Man, this guy could sell snow to an Eskimo. I'm serious.
I'm building this massive ballroom. I'm way under budget. It's going to cost less than $400 million. It's going to cost maybe $300 million for this massive project. I just built, relatively recently, I built a hotel, the Waldorf in Washington. And I spent like $250 million. It's a much bigger complex than the Federal Reserve and much more complex. So I said, how did they spend $3 to $4 billion on this little thing? I could have done it for $25 million, and it would have been nicer than what they're doing.
I don't want to be dismissive of some of the emotion that was felt by some of the folks here in Europe, but the reality is we are entering into a new world order.
Those 3 words were something that you couldn't even utter here. It was okay for other people to say, but Americans couldn't come out and say, we have an NWO here. And so the messaging that the Trump campaign is putting out there is indeed that he has completely turned the axis of the world upside down and sideways, and now we are where everything gets funneled through. This is now the new WO. You getting that? Because that's some serious stuff. Because I'm sorry if you're upset, but we don't really care.
And that's something that a lot of the European officials have been acknowledging during the past couple of days here at Davos. We're entering into a period where some of the economic rules of the past are no longer effective.
Again, that is a problem for the left. They keep judging everything by the old rules. I've been saying that for quite some time. You're comparing what other presidents did to this guy, and those rules don't apply anymore. He shredded them. This is how we are going to do things. That's how it's going to be. You don't like it, it's too bad, but this is how we're going to do things.
Where some of the security arrangements may need to be rearranged. And so there's an acknowledgement with that. The idea that somehow these folks would partner with China, that's not realistic. China is a giant exporter. They're not a big importer, and so they're not going to import a lot of the things that they sell. China supports Russia economically, and Russia, of course, is fighting a war on Europe's borders. So none of that is very realistic. When I was meeting with my counterparts over the past couple of days, I encouraged them to speak with the president, put it at the leaders level, and negotiate, and that's indeed where we are now.
So statements from...
Okay, so you got to watch this clip. You want to see how President Trump can change people's minds? This clip right here will show you how quickly you can go from thinking you're a badass to tucking your tail between your legs and shutting up. Watch this.
He will not add anything here. And when it comes to the Arctic, I think President Trump is right. Other leaders in NATO are right. We need to defend the Arctic. We know that these sea lanes are opening up. We know that China and Russia are increasingly active in the Arctic. There are 8 countries bordering on the Arctic. 7 are a member of NATO. That's Finland and Sweden and Norway and Denmark, Iceland, Canada and the US. And there's only 1 country bordering on the Arctic outside NATO, and that's Russia. And I would argue there is a 9th country, which is China, which is increasingly active in the Arctic region. So President Trump and other leaders are right. We have to do more there. We have to protect the Arctic against Russian and Chinese influence. And that's exactly...
Now understand, he's sitting there with other members of NATO, and he's telling them, this is how you have to do it. If you want to be protected, this is how you have to get it done. You have to align with President Trump. You can't do it any other way.
What NATO ambassadors decided to do in September, we are working on that, making sure that collectively will we defend the Arctic region.
Well, we have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And
all right, take a test. I want to take a test in the chat. Before today, have you heard anybody talking about the United States being a power in the Arctic? We heard Greenland. I didn't know we were talking about taking over Santa's place up in the North Pole. I haven't heard anybody discuss that was part of the deal, that we wanted basically to, take over the North Pole. Tell Santa you work for us now. Because that just, I was like, wait a minute, Arctic? Nobody had mentioned the Arctic. And so it should have been that way. I mean, we all could have understood that, because when he said the Western Hemisphere, we probably could have realized that was in the Western Hemisphere, but I didn't think about it. And then today, all of a sudden, we're hearing Arctic, Arctic, Arctic everywhere.
it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other things.
The market.
I want to know what those other things are. See, national security is a giant umbrella. A huge umbrella. You just say national security and everybody goes, okay. I want to know what those other things are. I've never visited the North Pole. Most of you probably have never visited the North Pole. I don't even know what's up there. Oil? Aliens? What's in the North Pole? Frigid temperatures, but there has to be the other things. Tell us what the other things are. I don't think there's many, rare earths. It's ice and water. What in the heck is in the North Pole that he wants? What in the Arctic? I don't think it's the salmon or the polar bears. There's got to be something in the Arctic. And again, maybe it is aliens. Maybe it's to put a spaceship. I don't know. But it just came up today.
600 points, getting back a lot of some of the nervousness we had in the last couple of days. The tariffs are off. Nothing happens on February 1st.
No, we took that off because it looks like we have pretty much a concept of a deal.
A deal of ownership, a deal...
Well, it's a little bit complex, but we'll explain it down the line. But the Secretary General of NATO and I and some other people were talking, and it's the kind of a deal that I wanted to be able to make.
Where does Denmark, did they weigh in on what they want, what they would agree to?
Well, I assume they did, because he very much represents, he's a strong leader. Mark Rutte. And he, I assume he's been speaking to them. He's been speaking to...
Read between the lines here. The guy from CNBC said, hey, so what did Denmark say? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Mark did it. Mark brokered it. Mark went back and forth. You didn't even talk to the king or whatever of Denmark? Nope, not important. That's what I got from there. Like he said earlier, I don't need to speak to him. How emasculating is that? How emasculating is it that somebody else is cutting a deal about your country, and the person who's cutting the deal doesn't even want to talk to you? I don't even need to speak to you. Just come back to me with what we're doing. And I'm sure my guys here, Steve Witkoff and other guys, will make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, but I don't even need to talk to you. You are completely irrelevant. That is a boss move of exponential proportions. I've never been involved in any business transaction where the other person said, I don't even need to talk to Barry. Well, how are we going to do a deal? Doesn't matter. We'll work out. The parents here are going to take care of it. We're going to make sure it's done. Daddy and your granddad over here, your uncle, we're going to talk and get it done. And you're just going to follow along. That is some serious alpha stuff. That is like alpha here. And he just said it to CNBC. I don't know. Well, I'll talk to Mark. Mark will tell me what we got to do. Wow.
All of them.
Are mineral rights involved? Is ownership involved? Did the Golden Dome sway people?
I don't want to say yet, but...
The Golden Dome was very compelling today when you talked about that.
Yeah, the Golden Dome, and they're going to be involved in the Golden Dome, and they're going to be involved in mineral rights, and so are we.
It's not specific enough to know at this point how long this lasts, whether it's...
Forever.
Somebody in the chat, I was waiting to get to this point. Well, Barry, how do you know it's just not going to go away when the next president comes or something else happens or whatever? You guys got to listen. You have to, maybe, the man just said forever. How's he locking it down? We don't have the details, but he just said forever. There's no question beyond that. The only question would be like, well, how are you going to do that? None of your business. It's forever.
Forever.
It'll be forever.
For Greenland at this point.
Yeah. Forever.
He said it 3 times. Forever, 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 forever. There's nothing else to ask. What do you do at that point when you're talking to an alpha male who happens to be the president of the United States, who ain't even talking to the guy you're making a deal with, who's got somebody else brokering a deal? I don't even need to bring you in. And how long does it last? Forever. Okay, then. Forever. Yeah, that's the answer.
That's staggering.
It's better than a 99.
This is what, 2 hours after.
It's better than the Obama deal with the famous Iran nuclear deal with a 9-year deal. No, this is forever. This is a long term.
First.
Oh my gosh. Now I know why he could do some of the stuff in New York and forever. We don't know the terms of it, but that was one he was quite confident. He said it like 4 times. Forever. Forever. Not like the 9-year stuff Obama did. It's forever. Now listen to this. I told you earlier about putting your tail between your legs. This one might beat it. This one might be worse than the other one with the NATO secretary. This is the president or grand poobah of Finland.
It's a direct answer to the question of this panel, can Europe defend itself? My answer is unequivocally yes.
Without the Americans?
Without the Americans, I mean...
How?
Well,
you're Finland. Finland, you don't even have an army. You don't have, yeah, I bet you don't even have 1 jet. I don't know how many tanks you got. We can do it ourselves. How? Did you not think she was going to ask you? How in the hell can you protect yourself without America? This was the ultimate chop, 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 chop. You are now neutered. Your people back home just went, oh, God. Oh, no. Did he just do that? Yeah, we can do it ourselves. Oh, really?
Look.
But you're relying on them for these key elements. You said earlier that Europe can defend itself without the Americans. If it comes down...
not exact, Mike, so that's not a quote.
No, it's an exact quote. 11 minutes later, somebody was like, Ixnay, Trump heard you. Hey, back up. Backstroke. You didn't say that. Somebody got to him. Maybe Mark's next to him going, dude, you know Trump's watching, right? Oh, we can do it without Trump. We're Finland. We're manly men in tights. We rode boats. We have no army. We can do it without the Americans. 11 minutes later, somebody talks to him and says, somebody must have elbowed him and said, are you sure about that, bro? You sure you want to tell Trump we don't need you? Okay.
Itself without the Americans. If it comes down...
not exact, Mike, so that's not a quote.
More or less.
Let's...
we'll go back to the transcript.
Let's stick to the left on this one, yeah?
More or less.
I love journalists.
Stoop against this. But if it...
You tell me what happened. You know what happened. You know somebody said, dude, what did you say? You know he's back there someplace watching this. And you just told, it's not exactly what I said. No, it's exactly what you said. It's on tape for the world to see. And then the second part, with you just completely folding your thing between your legs and hopping off, everybody saw that too. I thought that was just incredible. If you didn't think that there was an alpha dog at Davos, that clip showed you. The woman asking the question, I just asked you, and you told me you don't need America. Oh, that's not what I meant. Please tell the Donald that's not exactly anything. I didn't really say that. No, it was a doppelganger. It wasn't me. I was taken by aliens, and somebody else dropped in and said that. It wasn't me. You quickly, somehow somebody got to him. Maybe Donald was in the back of the room. You sure about that? Oh gosh, that was so funny. All right. This is Howard Lutnick at Davos. I think he's talking to, he's talking to CBS News.
I want to start with something that's on the mind of a lot of people here, especially those that live on this continent. Why does the United States need Greenland?
I think for the World Economic Forum to be focused on that sort of misses the big picture, which is that the model of the global and the globalist system has really failed the United States and failed the West, right? The industrialization, the deindustrialization of the United States and the globalist view that you should find the lowest cost labor somewhere in the world and move production to the lowest cost labor, and you should take all of your workers and just unemploy them all, and rip them off is just the wrong model. So I think the world of the WEF and the way it thought and the way it acted was just not in America's interest. And in my opinion, it wasn't in the West's interest. It wasn't in Europe's interest. It wasn't in the UK's interest either. The way I always thought of the WEF was it wasn't the pole in the middle like a flagpole. It was the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so blew the WEF.
The World Economic Forum.
The World Economic Forum is the WEF, right? The way the wind blew, so blew the World Economic Forum. That would be the topic of the year. And think about this for a minute. Europe says it wants to be net zero by 2030, and they don't make a battery. They don't make a battery. So how are they going to be net zero unless they decide Europe, the great continent of Europe, is going to be completely subservient to the Chinese who make batteries, right? This is just black and white. It just doesn't make sense. So if you want just the quick topic of Greenland, I would say it this way. The Western Hemisphere is fundamental to the health and national security of the United States of America. Our national security people are on it. But I would say to make America strong, we need to have a strong Western Hemisphere. And the world needs a strong America. Think about this. America set out to do tariffs on the world. And everyone said it would destroy the rest of the world. Europe's stock market, way up. UK stock market, way up. Japan, way up. Korea, way up. Why are they all up? Because when America shines, the world shines. Because everybody who invests in the world understands a strong America is vital for the world that we all live in.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but to Greenland first, because whether you like it or not, you're going to get questions about this week from everyone here. 7 in 10 Americans back home don't want this. Don't want it.
All right. So 7 in 10 Americans don't want it. 70% of Americans don't want us to do anything with Greenland. What do they know about Greenland? What do they know in regards to what President Trump and Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent have in mind? Can they even point Greenland out on a map? When they do these stupid ass polls and they're trying to make a point, it all depends on the question. The first question should have been, where's Greenland? Huh? Yeah, okay. What does Greenland have? Who lives in Greenland? Greenlanders. What do they do for a living? How many of them are there? What's its proximity to, enemies? Hey, you think Trump should go in and invade Greenland? Oh, no, he shouldn't do that.
Dime of federal taxpayer dollars spent to buy it. Don't want to see troops positioned there. What do you say to those 7 in 10 Americans who don't agree with the president's push to take over Greenland?
Can I answer, Howard? Please, give me a second. You're idiots. We're already there. Greenland doesn't have an army. They have like 150 people. We already got like 5,000 or 6,000 people there already protecting Greenland. Did you know that? Did you know that we already have soldiers in Greenland? No, I just don't like anything Trump does.
Donald Trump has the best intuition of anybody that I've ever met. And he, by far, is the best person ever to sit in the Oval Office. He understands things. He does it by intuition. He does it by knowledge. And he does it by experience. So if the President of the United States thinks for national security, the Western Hemisphere is fundamental, I promise you, in maybe a year, maybe in 2 years, and maybe in 5 years, every historian will be writing about how fundamentally right he was. I mean, think about April 2nd, how the world was saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this whole tariff thing, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. It is so fundamentally right, and you can ask everybody. Did it cause inflation? No. Did it make America stronger? Yes. Did the world stock markets go up? Yes. He was completely correct. So my view is, I'd bet on Donald Trump every time, because anybody who's ever bet against him has been wrong.
And you've known him for years, and you know there are a lot of people sitting on this side of the world going, this doesn't make any sense. We've got to try to convince him otherwise.
Who says that? Who are these lot of people that say we have to convince him otherwise? I don't know anybody. I mean, we voted him because we feel he has the best interest of America at heart. And so, for the most part, do I know anything about Greenland? No. Am I an expert on Greenland? Absolutely not. Did I vote for President Trump and I trust that he understands what we need Greenland for? Yup. So who are these experts? Who are the experts who are saying, hey, we need to convince them don't go into Greenland? Why? How are you affected by Trump or America having a huge presence in Greenland? What exactly is the issue at hand? Oh, I just don't like it. Trump's doing it.
You know him. You know that when he gets an idea.
Who has to convince him otherwise?
The
Why?
Europeans,
who are these people?
The Europeans are trying. You know
And
they're
why?
trying. Because they don't think that the United States should be taking Danish territory.
There's your answer. I am so sick of any of these media people who say the people over there are going to be upset. See, before he said people are trying to convince him not to do it as if it was people here. But it's not. He's like, the people over there are going to be upset. Why is the media so worried about what other countries think? They say it all the time. Oh, our allies, our friends, it's an embarrassment. What are you worried about what they think for?
They haven't thought about it at all. I think they will think about it more and they will address it. But basically, I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address it with the Europeans, right? You can have disagreements with your friends and allies. You can. And then eventually it'll sort its way out. But I'm going to leave it to them. I am the Commerce Secretary, so let's try to stick to commerce.
And I want to talk about that because this has sparked now talk of a big retaliatory tariff from the EU on the U.S., $100 billion potentially. That has the potential to affect prices on many different things that get bought and sold into the United States.
I don't buy them. I don't need champagne from France. I don't need French wine. Don't buy them. It's really that simple. I don't think the media does enough to tell people what a tariff really is. The tariff is on the item coming from that country. If you buy a similar item here in America, buy some California wine. I don't even know what I get from Finland, maybe caviar. But people who buy caviar, they don't care if there's a tariff on it. What exactly are you so worried about? Oh, that's right, the other countries getting hit.
Two things on that. One, what is the status of the EU trade deal? And does this bazooka tariff, I guess is what they call it, have the potential to upend that agreement?
My opinion is the trade deal that the European Union made with the United States of America is durable. They do not want their auto tariffs to go higher. They do not want their pharmaceutical tariffs to go higher. They do not want their semiconductor tariffs to go higher. They just do not. So I think the trade deal with them, the trade deal with the UK, these are durable. They are going to stay. The two sides will talk and they will discuss it together. And ultimately, I think they will work out a solution and diplomacy will prevail. However, Donald Trump has a clear understanding of his goals and objectives, and everybody will talk together and they will work it out or they won't. But I'm going to leave that to national security. But my view is, I do not think economically Europe wants to change the deal they cut between Ursula von der Leyen, Madam President, and Donald Trump. So I just don't think that's going to change.
At this point, you see it going through.
What does that mean?
The U.S.-EU deal. The trade deal that's been worked out that you've been working on will be fulfilled. It won't be upended by this.
I do not think that there is going to be an upending of any of the trade deals that we have made. There are things that we will argue about between our two countries, for sure, because that's the way it works with friends and allies. But I would say Donald J. Trump understands what he wants, and he will talk to them, and they will work it out. And I think the EU trade deal is solid, firm, and will continue.
You got the Taiwan deal last week. Who's next?
Well, what we have is from Japan, $550 billion. You have Korea, $200 billion, right? And we can use that for power in America. We've got $150 billion from the Koreans to do shipbuilding, right? And then we've got $500 billion, two classes of $250 billion from Taiwan. Plus we had all the deals that I did separately, like we had Micron agreeing to build $200 billion in America. We've got $1 trillion of semiconductors to build in America. So what we are going to do is we are going to reshore semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, over 250 billion pharmaceuticals coming in, power. We're going to build 100 gigawatts of power for $750 billion in America.
You see, what the big problem is, he's way over the head of this reporter. This reporter can't even comprehend the stuff that's coming out of Howard Lutnick's mouth. The average person can't comprehend what's coming out of Howard Lutnick's mouth. He can't report to other people what Howard is saying to him. The numbers, the largesse of everything is beyond anything we've ever seen. When they're rattling off 200 billion, 300 gazillion, and all these different things, they have no idea.
I'm going to drive the cost of energy in America down. We're going to win the AI race, produce the power, and we're going to reduce the cost of electricity in America.
But the whole 180 deals in 180 days, you have maybe, 24 or so far. Who's next? What's the next big country you got to finish a trade deal with?
Well, I leave deals for the future in the future, but those are the big ones that I was focused on, and I'm excited about executing a plan of $1.5 trillion of domestic production. Right? This is domestic production. Donald Trump has said he's got $18 trillion coming to America. What that means is manufacturing is going to explode. You've seen manufacturing numbers that were weak. That's because housing is weak, because interest rates are too darn high, and we all know it. So when interest rates come down, housing starts and housing construction will grow. But what you're going to see at all of 26, you're going to start to see construction of factories. Huge factories. Friday, I went to a groundbreaking of a $100 billion factory. That's a $100 billion factory. 25,000 jobs in upstate New York. And the full Micron $200 billion investment will produce 90,000 jobs in America. Construction to start, and then ultimately high-tech jobs, the best kind of jobs for America.
You are confident in the use of tariffs. You know, though, that the Supreme Court could rule any day now and upend the tariff plan, claiming it's unconstitutional or restricted in some way. What's the backup plan if that happens?
Look, I think the Supreme Court is going to side with Donald Trump and the president and give him the power to do and run the country as best for national emergencies, as you've seen with IEEPA. However, the trade deals that we have made, right, they're autos, they're semiconductors, they're pharmaceuticals, those things are not in front of the Supreme Court. So I do not think the European deal, the UK deal, the Tokyo, the Japanese deal, the Korean deal, the Taiwan deal, none of these things are going to change. So the big deals that President Trump has made are going to be durable through that. But I do think it is fundamental that the Supreme Court is going to decide positively for the tariff case. And I think that whenever that comes down, you're going to see President Trump very successful in that.
If they disappoint you and him and rule the other way, though, you've heard, you've seen companies say, look, we've been paying all this extra money now because of tariffs on the imports that we're trying to bring in. Is there a plan to refund them should the Supreme Court reverse the tariff plan and say you can't do that?
The administration will follow what the Supreme Court says. We have no idea what they're going to say. We'll wait to then, right? Could it be if they said, refund people, that'd be an unholy mess? And they even discussed that becoming, and they used the word, the Supreme Court justices used the word mess while they were discussing it in the courtroom when we had the case. So
excuse me. I think that what I was saying was I think the media and the Democrats, one and the same, want to see this thing fail. I think they want to see everything go south. They want this to damage Trump. They want it to damage America. They're hoping with everything that that's exactly what happens. But like I told you yesterday, I cannot for the life of me even believe with guys like Howard Lutnick, Kevin Hassett, Scott Bessent, and President Trump that they would ever not have the backup plan. They're not giving anybody any idea. I think Trump said licensing yesterday, but they're not going to tell people what that plan is. There's no way you walk into any business deal without the second option. And that's where I put the credence in. And I don't understand how these idiots asking questions don't know. My question would have been, instead of doing all this stuff, I would have just assumed. So you guys obviously have another plan. How soon after, if it got struck down, would you be ready to implement it? Then you're going to see the reaction. It's a whole different kind of question. What is the backup plan is not the question. I want to know how soon after you're told no, can you implement it? Because then I would find out what's the plan. There's no way. Understand, this guy, Howard Lutnick, came from a company, Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald's office was on one of the top floors in the World Trade Center. When it hit the World Trade Center, his company evaporated. Something like 100, 200, 300 people in his company just went away. Everything was done. And very quickly, he was able to put things back together and put up redundant offices so that it could never happen again. I've mentioned to you guys many times, if something were to happen in New York right now, we would not see Wall Street go down for 4 or 5 days. There are already redundant systems. How do I know that? I've seen some of them in Miami. So if they've gone to that far to say if there's a terrorist attack that somebody wants to strike in New York that could take down the New York Stock Exchange or anything else, how long will the market be closed? They turn it on the next day. So if they've thought that far, if people with that kind of economic background have those kind of fail-safes in place, you don't think that Howard, Scott, and Kevin and Trump have put something together? You're foolish.
Let's wait and see what happens. I sat in that courtroom, and I felt that we were a winner, that Donald Trump's IEEPA tariffs are going to be stable, they're going to stay, and the Supreme Court of the United States is going to let the one person elected by the people of the United States of America run the foreign policy of the United States of America.
Talking to people who are attending, looking at some of the reports that are done before this week began, there's a lot of concern among business executives around the world about geopolitical instability and their inability to plan ahead because of it. Capturing Maduro, which the world generally agrees was a good thing to extract him from Venezuela, is one example of a sudden disruption and change that suddenly opens up a market. Threatening to take Greenland, though, obviously preoccupies Europe and shows that the president's focused on those kinds of things as well. What do you say to these business executives who say all this geopolitical instability is much of it driven by the United States, is making it hard for us to plan ahead.
Let's do a flashback to April 2nd, 2025, right? All the press, all these businesses, right? Oh, hair on fire. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Let's look at the end of 2025, right? The United States stock market up, trade deficit down, exports up, right? Imports down, our deficit down. How about the UK? Stock market up big. How about Europe? Stock market up big. How about Japan? Stock market up big. How about Korea? Stock market up big. All of that noise fades away. And now you're going to tell me these things, which pale in comparison, are something that's going to change the outlook? Let me give you a hint. The U.S. government and our U.S. GDP grew 4.3% in the third quarter. The shutdown's going to mess with the fourth quarter. But now we're in the first quarter of 2026. I think we're going to grow over 5%. And I think businesses in America are excited to invest in America and are coming in gangbusters to America. I think that kind of talk of worry is not actually going to show its way to groundbreakings, hiring, and growth in America. I think over 5%. And if we finally cut interest rates, because remember, the United States is the greatest credit in the world. Why are we paying the highest rates? If we're the greatest credit, I mean, the probability of the United States paying you back is better than any other country in the world. Why are we paying the highest rates when we have low inflation? And the answer is when those rates come down, you're going to see growth in the United States to hit 6%. And all these companies, what they're going to be saying is, you know, the U.S. economy is so amazing, that U.S. consumer is so amazing, there's no place that I'd rather invest my dollars for a good return than America.
Is an investigation of the Federal Reserve Chairman?
The guy just told you. The Commerce Secretary just answered your question about how the growth is going to be and how it went down because of what happened at the end of last year with the slowdown and everything else. And now we're seeing 4, 5, 6. Scott Besson is saying 7% growth, and he didn't have a follow-up question. He was right into something else. And I'm like, do you understand what he's saying? Do you understand that if our economy is moving at a pace of 4, 5, 6%, do you think people in Europe are going to give a crap about a tariff, or are they going to do everything they possibly can to sell into the most prosperous economy in the world? He doesn't want that information out. You guys need to know that. All this talk about people being upset, as this economy continues to grow, as people get more and more prosperous, as they have more disposable income, you don't think other countries are like, I need to get some of that. These people got some jack. They want to buy cars and shirts and shoes and pocketbooks and yeah, we need to get in there. That's what we need to do, is because they got money. Why would the media and Democrats not want that? Why would they not want you to have more available disposable income to buy whatever you want, whatever you can afford? Because at that point, you become less dependent on the government. The more dependent somebody is on the government to give them food stamps and everything else, they got you. And so the idea that these people have is prosperous people mean less government. And I know there's people in here who are on fixed income, Social Security, or otherwise. And what I've tried to endeavor to do is show you, you can do some things right from your living room to begin generating an extra $50 a month, $100 a month, 300,000. See, I think people have to sit back and with these numbers, gazillion, trillions, what's your number? What is that number that if you could make an extra X, you'd be like, wow, that feels good. You may not need to make an extra 10,000. I'm sure you'd want it. What's that number? Because at that point, once you identify that number and go, you know what, if I had an extra $750 a month, if I had an extra $750 a month, I could do this, this, and this. And then once you figure out what that number is, then reduce it to that times 2. Why do I say times 2? Because don't go with what you think you need. Go for twice that. So if you fail, you're still above where you thought you needed to be. If you say, I could probably do this with $750 a month, I'm going to shoot for $1,500. And if I fall short and I only make $900 extra, wow, that's more than I thought I would need. Now I need to know how I can replicate that. What do I need to do to make sure I can keep going? See, nobody tells Americans this stuff anymore. They definitely don't learn it in school. They don't put it, you'll write it down. Once you write something down, you commit it to memory. Write it down again the next day, you commit it to memory. Here's what I'm going to do to make this extra $600 a month. We're going to write it down and I'm going to do it. Then you can look back at the end of 30 days and go, I did 2 days. Then you got no one to blame but yourself. You see, if it's abstract and you don't see it in front of you, and you don't say, oh man, the calendar says I was supposed to do this today. Day 1, I'm going to download some videos and find out about AI. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend an hour and I'm going to learn X, Y, Z about AI. What are you doing day number 2? Day number 2, I'm going to watch 4 videos about AI. Still haven't spent anything. Day number 3, what are you going to do? I'm going to get into a chat or space and talk to people about AI. Okay. Day number 5, what are you going to do? I'm going to start writing prompts in Grok so that I can see what happens when I write this prompt. Okay. So, you see what I'm saying? And every single day, at the end of 30 days, you go and get that piece of paper. Oops, I did the first 3. I missed 4, 5, and 6. I was busy. I wasn't feeling good. And I picked it back up on halfway through the 7th day, because then you have a blueprint. You missed 3 days. Try it again the next month and see if you can run all 30. A lot of people don't understand that. There's an entire business right now, and I mentioned it before, of just learning how to write prompts. But you're not going to get there if you don't start. And the first thing I would say is to yourself, to your wife, honey, how much would we have to make for a difference to be made in our life? And that number is going to be different for every single person. And then go after it. And let's say you say 500, but you only make 250. That's still 250 more than you made last month. And you'll be able to look at your chart and say, okay, I missed 4 or 5 days. I didn't do that lesson. And because I didn't do that lesson, that could. But if you don't have that written down to be accountable to yourself, there's nobody else you're going to be accountable to. You could watch all the videos you want. You could come here and talk to me. And I'm like, did you do day 3? No, I was watching, Golden Girls or something.
Good for Wall Street.
The facts of these kind of matters I'll leave to others, right? The fact is the President of the United States will choose a new Fed chairman, and that new Fed chairman with the other governors will set the rate of interest rates in the United States of America. And the President has made it crystal clear they should be lower. We're the greatest credit in the world. The rates should be lower.
But let me ask it again. Is it bad for Wall Street to have the Federal Reserve Chairman under investigation?
If he's done something wrong, he's done something wrong. The answer is his term is coming due in a couple of months. There'll be a new Fed chairman, and hopefully rates will come down.
How about the idea of a lawsuit against Jamie Dimon? You think that's a good idea? The president's talking about investigating him.
Actions of companies against the president is between the president and those companies, right? I am the Secretary of Commerce. I'm going to stay deeply in my lane, which is the growth of the United States of America is going to be over 5% in the first quarter, in my opinion, because of the policies of the Trump administration, which are the most pro-business policies of any president ever. And my advice to Europe and my advice to the UK is watch what he does and try copying it. Try copying the digital model the United States has. I mean, it's got $6 trillion of data center commitments. Why not, instead of attacking our tech companies, why not embrace them and let them build in your country and reap the benefits, not of just taxing them and fining them and attacking them, but rather let them produce job growth in your country. Watch America succeed. And maybe, just maybe, our allies will figure out, hey, that's a good way to go instead of windmills and the wrong way to go.
Two real quick things.
He just went on from that. I don't know if you watched this morning's speech. If you didn't, go back and watch my first video today when President Trump said, you've been buying the hell out of these windmills from a country that doesn't use them. China makes a whole bunch of windmills, makes a whole bunch of money, but they don't use them because they're stupid. So what does that make you? You're making a country rich buying an item that doesn't work. And he didn't even want to talk about it. I don't think he wants the information that Howard is giving him. Talking about lawsuits and problems. Man, if I could sit down with Howard Lutnick, I can't even tell you what kind of conversation I would be having with him. You don't get to talk to people like that often. You get a chance to talk to somebody like that with his resume. The last thing I'm going to do, are you going to sue Jamie Dimon? And what do you think that's going to be like it? I don't care if you sue Jamie Dimon. I want to know how I'm going to better my life. I want to know how you're going to better my family's lives. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. It's cold as hell in most of the country. They're expecting like a once-in-a-lifetime ice and snowstorm that's going to come through over the next couple of days. There's going to be a lot of people who may lose power, who may lose their ability to heat their homes, cook their foods. Just like I've told you down here, when hurricanes are coming, one of the things I'd love to know is how many people prepared? If I knew that XYZ, that this ice storm was coming, and I know ice storms can sometimes leave you without power for days, what are you doing about it? Starlink, you may not have any internet. You want to go get a Starlink if you can afford one? Get a Starlink. Find a way, if you have a generator like we have a lot of people that have down here, what are you going to do? Or are you just going to let the train hit you?
Touch the American consumer back home. First off, the TikTok deal. Is it closing on Friday as scheduled?
I don't know.
So we should anticipate another extension?
No, I literally, I'm not up on whether the TikTok deal is closing on Friday. I just don't know.
The kids are worried, you know. They've been wondering. So
it's been good so far, and I think they've worked out a deal. So I'm pretty optimistic.
Housing was allegedly going to be a big part of what the president's talking about this week in his speech here on affordability in the economy. There's this talk, I guess, of dipping into your 401k for a one-time down payment. Are you familiar with this proposal?
I am.
And then some other incentives potentially for home builders. Is that what I heard? What do you know? What is the general sketch right now?
I'm going to leave the president's speech for the president's speech, but the president is very focused on affordability. When he left office 5 years ago, right? This is a one-year anniversary. The average age of a first-time buyer was 33 years of age. Pretty reasonable. Now it's 40 because Biden had so much inflation, drove the prices up, and interest rates are still too darn high, right? They just, with President Trump finally pushing, right, the agencies to buy $200 billion worth of agency mortgages, the interest rate on mortgages dropped below 6%. And what happened? You had the #1 week of home buyers going to visit new homes and #1 week in decade of refinancing. So that's the idea. The idea is let's bring back the opportunity of demand and let's help young couples get into those first-time homes. The president is on it. He's focused on it. But what he needs, of course, is lower interest rates.
And the 401k thing is indeed the proposal he's working on then.
Well, he's going to talk about it. I've heard it. I'll leave to the president his announcement.
And is there anything in all this for renters? Those that may not be ready to, may not want to buy a home? Is that at all part of the conversation?
What are we subsidizing rent now? I mean, there's this thing called Section 8 for people who can't afford different properties. The whole idea, let me hear what Howard has to say, but how about you just live where you can afford? There you go. And if we get rid of all these illegals, then, you know what, rent's going to come down because there's going to be more availability.
I think affordability in America is a key driver of the outcome of this presidency. He's on it. He wants prices down, gas prices down, right? He goes to Venezuela. He now has the ability to drive gas prices down, drive electricity prices down, drive prices lower. We're going to build 100 gigawatts of power in America to drive electricity prices down. So the president's on it, and he understands he's America's president, and he's going to help all Americans on affordability.
31 World Economic Forums. What's your favorite event you ever attended here?
My favorite event has
the one
always
you walked away
been,
from and said, that was a fun party, or this was the most important meeting I ever had here?
Well, for all those years that I would come here, I would spend 2 days with my clients, and I would seek 1 day on science, right? And I would spend it with a Nobel Prize winner who would teach me something. And one of the things I learned, I went out with the woman who, remember, she proved, Elizabeth, I think her first name is Elizabeth, that the DNA strands fray at the ends. And she said that comes from stress. And I said, and she said, no, Howard, not your kind of stress. Your stress is chosen stress. The stress she's talking about is when someone cannot get out of it, when their mother's sick and they can't get out of it, and their son is in trouble and they can't get out of it. Those things change your life expectancy. And so what it did is it drove me to try to help change outcomes for people so that they have less stress in their lives. And that was one of the most important things because it stuck with me decades and decades later.
That is amazing. Not because of what the lady told him. I'm not really as concerned with what that lady told him. What I thought when I heard that was whatever age he was when he was coming to Davos, obviously if he was coming to Davos, he was already making a lot of money. He was already a captain of industry. He'd already reached a certain level of attainment. He probably was owning Cantor Fitzgerald. And this guy said he keeps learning. If there's anything you heard, that last piece right there, when he's like, yeah, what do you like? I keep learning. I don't turn off up here. I don't get to a certain age and go, yeah, I'm done. I've learned everything I have. I kept this comment. I want to show you a quick answer. This comment says, can we really earn a living writing prompts? So I'm going to give you the answer to this question. And you could come back tomorrow and tell me what you found out. You ready? If you're on Grok, if you're on Gemini, if you're on ChatGTP, ask AI the answer to that question. Hey Grok, is it possible for me to earn a living writing prompts? Here comes the answer. I have limited knowledge in writing prompts. Where would I start? Who would want me to hire me as a client, or how would I find a client that needs any of my prompts? What industry should I focus on that will help me based upon my knowledge? I'll stop there. I'm challenging Living Waters to go do that. And when you get that information, when you get that deluge of information, I'm in Virginia, where SV is. I'm in Virginia, and I want to know what kind of businesses would be interested in receiving information on how to use AI, and what prompts can I write to approach them. You are only limited by the amount of questions you ask your teacher. And that's why I saved your comment, because what he said was specifically it, especially for us boomers. People have done things and think, yeah, what else can I do now? Well, you just asked a question that could literally take you 30 days to just hone in on the information. Because every question should beget another question. And you just keep, and you would be amazed at the information that'll come. And then once you're done with all that information, you have to assimilate it, you have to compile it, and then it'll help you do that. Can you print out or can you write a report item by item that shows me what I need to do to find people who need prompts, who don't know how to, I don't know, whatever, lawyers, doctors. You would be amazed. And everything I just said to you is free or very close to being free, between Grok or ChatGPT or one of those programs. It's crazy. The interviewer was terrible. Nick is so powerful. Yeah, I already know that you can create web pages for people with prompts. Yep, you can. I believe so, but you must be rather clever. An old guy told me once, a long time ago, you can either have knowledge or you can borrow knowledge. As long as you know where to ask, you don't have to be that proficient in it. As long as you have a partner, a AI program, or something that can give you what you don't have, you can rely on that. Okay, prove it, Barry. What did you learn recently that was something that you didn't have? Well, you saw. I wasn't able to program her tonight, but you've seen Faith, 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 capital Faith, Faith, who I use in my pre-show. I didn't have that before. I've been doing this for over, actually, if I go all the way back, I've been doing this for a couple of years. And just this week alone, I decided I'm going to create an AI spokesperson. Never done it before. It literally took me, I don't know, 35 to 40 minutes just to understand how it does, what this goes here, and what kind of person and everything else. But I'd never done it before. At my age, doing all this, I had never done it. And so I asked some people, which programs are even better? There have been people who have texted me after they've seen Faith and said, what did you use to do that? I have the text from people. What did you use? How did you do it? Just do the program. There's a free trial. It doesn't cost you a dime. If you decide you want to subscribe and you think it can be worth it to you in your business, and so a couple people texted me and said, can you show me where? Which also tells you that people are willing to go do the work. I just point me where I need to go. Show me where I need to learn this. It's a very entry-level thing where you're going to get some face, some woman, some guy to read something that you write. And that's all it took. Just show me where to go. All right, here you go, Fred. Here you go, Barney. Oh, okay, I can take it from here. I can dig in myself. So that's what I'm saying. I'm glad you had Robin look at the too many are too revealing. Yes, there's some boob shots for sure. And I showed it to Ashley first, and then and Ashley's like, "They ain't gonna work." I'm like, what? She goes, "They ain't gonna work." And then I showed it to Robin. She goes, "Just come on ahead, go ahead and delete her." I'm like, okay, I'll delete her. She got fired before she even got to work. A freelance rookie makes $50 to $150 an hour. Yep, it's very capable, very capable. Some people need their hand held. Well, as President Trump just said tonight, we're a meritorious society. You got to earn it. You can't expect someone to hold your hand. You got to jump in that deep end of that pool. You're going to swim or you're going to sink. We'll watch you. We'll make sure if you start, we'll jump in and help you, but we're not going to get in the pool and drag you along. Is Copilot also AI? I believe so. I believe that's a Microsoft product. Let's see. Certainly for advertising, endless application. Absolutely. What's this say? Show me a picture of every variety of birds in a cyclone pattern with a red cardinal in the center. Wow. That's similar to what Robin does. Robin likes to paint. And so she'll look at something and she'll show me a forest with a blue jay and a cardinal in mid-flight with a smoky sky. And she'll just keep doing renditions and she goes, I'm going to paint that one. And then, you can sell your paintings if you paint. Let's see here. less than my year ago, I wouldn't really mess with AI. Now, every birthday. I don't know what you mean there. Prompts are instructions or questions you give to the system to get specific responses like conversation starters that help guide. Exactly. I mean, just imagine you being back in the days when you were 15 and 16. And when you were 15 and 16 and you had to ask that first girl to go on a dance, there was nobody that said, here's what you say to her. There was no Cyrano de Bergerac. Hey, tell her her eyes look pretty. You had to come up with it yourself. And you had to come over and say, some people walk over meekly, hi, I'm Timmy. Would you want to dance with me? And there's going to be another guy, hey, I'm Lou. Let's go. Just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. All right. So, yeah, I agree. Our downfall started with participation trophies. That and not teaching English in California or other schools. Exactly. All right, so after now close to 8 hours of video today, I'm going to go spend some time with the dog, the wife, and probably get something to eat and kick my feet up and detach from politics for at least the next 12 hours. Hopefully President Trump won't be doing something tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Man, that was rough. That was really rough this morning. Watching when I saw the schedule, I'm like, and SB goes, "Are we really doing?" And now I know, by the way, just to let you know, there's something big happening tomorrow. I have to find out what time it is. JD Vance is going to Minneapolis. And so he's going to be on the ground in Minneapolis. Not sure exactly what the plan is there and what they're going to do, but I'm sure he's going to be making some speeches. I'm sure there'll be a ton of video. And if I get the notification that it's available on a feed, I will most assuredly cover it with you guys. That being said, let me go ahead and do super chats. Let me move this screen up. Hold on. What happened here? There we go. All right, so let me put this on. Real quick here. What button is it? Is it working now? Hold on, let me see if it's working. Nope, it ain't working, so I'm gonna have to do it by hand. Which window will work for me? None of the windows want to work for me right now. The windows are all messed up because for some reason the computer been having issues on this computer. Hold on, let me do this. If I close all the other windows, then it won't have anything. But it will have to. No, it's not working for me. So I'm just going to have to read them off because for some reason it doesn't want to show me the super chat. So hold on one second. Let me figure out what I can do. I'll be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I'm going to try and do it this way and see if it'll let me see stuff. All right, so thank you, Pekovsky. 7 hours, Barry. Must do overtime for sure. Myrtle Beach Sweeper, good evening, and good evening to you as well. See if it'll let me. I don't know what's happened tonight. It doesn't like me doing stuff, but it's not even letting me move stuff. All right, whatever. Buddy Sanders, Islamic regime involved with Butler assassination attempt. They said they won't miss again. Yes, I did see them say that as well. Bishu, Trump tore him a new one, and it's about time we had a president that finally did it. I need to bring that down so you guys can see VShop. Let's see here. Chiosop, EU and Canada signed up to the new W order with China in control. Trump just put them on notice that it's not happening. We take Greenland and all. Cutting edge. Trump is like Batman. We don't need powers to. We don't need powers to take you out. Superman knows that. Buddy Sanders. We wanted the best. We got the best for sure. That's the old KISS statement there. A. Aaron. Trump said, kiss my bald white butt. Eagle. That's funny. Candy from, I think that's Canada. An interview with Maximus would be great. I understand it'd likely need to be recorded. There's probably a bunch he'd have to be careful answering. If Maximus, if you can come on, Ashley get a hold of Ashley. Love to have you on. I won't get you in trouble. Maybe we can do like those hidden face type things and with a voice alterer. Mark Hurley, thanks, Barry. Are you doing one of the games this Sunday? Monday night was a blast. That was fun. Once I get these computers to figure out what the heck's going on, I will definitely try that. Vielka, it will be minus 22 degrees. Good Lord, 20. No lib nuts. America Ramirez, the elite were selling America the Chinese. Yep, absolutely. No more American property sold to China, please. Yep. Thank you, buddy. CG Scrap. Something happens with Trump every day. Whether you see it or not, pay attention, people. Absolutely. Absolutely. Myrtle Beach. Mic drop. Let go. G-Mark. We have the absolute best president ever, praying for his protection over him. May all infiltrators be exposed and removed. Sigma male extraordinary. See, I had no idea what a Sigma male was. Never even have heard that before. And like I said, a sheriff buddy of mine sent that to me. I didn't know anything about it. Sigma male. You guys should look it up. It's like almost, it's like the alpha male superlative. Hold on, I'm just moving stuff around here so I can do this and do that. Okay, I can do that. Wait 1 second. Yeah, look up what a Sigma male is. I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised. All right, so I kind of did a makeshift edit here on the fly. Yeah, that'll work. Candy, gotta love how he slaps the media with his comments. He's a boss, absolutely. Myrtle Beach Sweeper, it's over, and we won. America first. But they won't stop fighting. They're not going to stop. Hey, Aaron, Bruce Lee once said, if you touch me, I'm gonna touch you back. I told you I was afraid of those kids growing up. William, great day for our country. An excellent show, Barry. Let's carry this on tomorrow by arresting Don Lamoron and his band of lemons. I would love to see Don Lemon arrested. Viking King, bring back the Pledge of Allegiance to classrooms. There are some places where you still can say it. There's other places where you can't. America Ramirez, Russia far away from China. She is idiotic. Now she's talking about Caitlin. Tracy Day, tell people what a juggernaut is, Barry, please. Juggernaut, something absolutely huge, can't be stopped, like a train. It's a juggernaut. Mobile tech, Russia's $340 billion are frozen between the EU and US, and the EU is giving Ukraine those funds instead of over 3 years and a loan with no repayment. I want my money. Why? I don't know why he would have put his money in the EU. Redeemed Patriot, 20% of Alaska is in the Arctic Circle. You guys think about what could be up there that we want? I don't know. I don't know what's up there. Big Cat, Trump told the kids Santa can't be infiltrated. I am Santa now. Oh man, that could be funny. Tinley, I think I get why Trump wants Greenland. Imagine Insurrection Act starts and missiles flying through North Pole. Deep state's willing to blow up everything. Yeah, I don't know if they would. Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. Linda, hi, very great show. Having issues with Lear Capital. I spoke to a rep. Not helpful. Is there another number to call and speak to someone else? You can email me. One of the mods will give you the email address and I will help you. And email me what exactly the problem is. Chiosop, Trump negotiated with mobsters for cement and project elevators. These pansies are a joke. They don't stand a chance like taking candy from a baby. If you've never done business in New York City, if you've never read some of the stories about doing, well, matter of fact, have you read Art of the Deal? How many of you have actually read the book Art of the Deal? If you haven't read that book, I would start there. I would definitely start there if you've never read Art of the Deal. Leak, thank you. Tinley fell up to my Supreme Court. Europe is being invaded by Islamists. UK is very close. Imagine occupied shoot missiles through North Pole, Greenland missile crisis. What are you going to launch them from? A sub? Because I don't know if you could really build a silo or anything up there. Maybe underwater. I don't know. Yeah, that would be very interesting. White Wolf, I think we should claim Antarctic as well, the South Pole. Boot everyone out, everyone except the penguins. Throw the thing out too. Man, the markets are going crazy, and that's just the start. We got to wonder, are we looking at terrestrial things in these poles? I don't know anything about that. Robin, she reads up on that. TTL, the truth has no defense against a fool determined to believe a lie. I love that. Who said that? That's a good one. Leak. Sean Ryan talked to Eric Hecker. Arctic lasers. Frickin' laser beams. I have to find that interview then. Chiosop, this reporter had his mom get the job. Probably. He was awful. Absolutely. He had an agenda. Donnie Lewis, our allies have been screwing us for years. Trump just secured $18 trillion. We don't care about $100 billion tariff from European countries. Kiss the ring. I like how you think. Made in Finland, buddy. I've never seen anything made in Finland. What's that sport in Olympics where they brush the ice as the thing is coming down? Did that come from Finland? That's about the only thing I could think. Maybe that's Finland. Mariah, thank you. Mobile Tech again. I think I need to leave my area. No growth here. I don't know where that area is, but if you have the ability to leave your area for greener pastures, why not? Troy Burns, SCOTUS has to be careful about the tariffs decision. They don't want the American people thinking they are the reason we have to pay it all back. Well, they're starting with 3 votes. They get to start with 3. But here, Trump's speech was awesome, Neo. So glad I took a chance to watch my phone while working. Thank you so much, Barry and team, for more Bibles. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Liz Rancor, thank you for awesome coverage today. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me because my poor wife, she's like, are you going to just keep going and going and going? Yeah, we got to keep going and going and going. I saw something earlier, and I don't want to miss somebody. There was a super chat in here for, let me just try to refresh. I don't know what happened to it. Well, if you were the person who put in a $100 super chat, or maybe you withdrew it, I don't see it anymore. Let me just go to a big screen and see if I see it up here, because I don't want to without acknowledging somebody if that was an actual super chat. Let me scroll. Nope, I don't see it. So I guess we don't have to worry about it. And SV, if you see it, go ahead and let me know, and I can talk about it tomorrow. But I don't see it now, and it's not there. And I'm going to go get some dinner, take the dog out. Hope you guys be safe with that big storm coming, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Fan.